Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the VTS. For me and Dodge, it's pretty much pajamas edition, but Salt over here. I mean, okay, where you going, cowboy? Goddamn.
Got a little bit of a hat today. It is April Fool's. Time for some fun shenanigans and all that stuff. And
That's
just
fair.
considering the patch we got today, unannounced, definitely gonna have a lot of shenanigans.
Yeah, I am quite surprised that we are even honestly here this week with these changes coming out. A lot of interesting ones to say the absolute least. You're getting an ace or a minion being the last on the tower will cause them to emote. You spawn as like random jungle creatures as well. There's some weird ones in there as well. You increase your champion size when getting kills as well. Overall, just a bunch of wacky things that frankly, I'm glad I'm not gonna have to cast over. That's gonna be up to you guys. I
That
mean,
is up to us.
yeah, a little bit. Let's get introductions real quick out of the way. I'm okay, and I'm gonna be your host for tonight. I'm joined by the one and only lovely Infinite Dodge here to my left or right, depending on what. How you going, man? How you going? What am I saying, bro? How are you doing? I'm tired.
I can tell you're tired. For those of you who are unaware, Echo cast an absolute banger of a series at about what, like 4 in the morning your
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
It was
4 in the morning.
it was great. Check out LJLOU, by the way. Gonna plug that because that's a project we both
My
work on.
boy.
But
Let's
yeah,
go.
Echo's tired, but I'm full of energy here in my Charmander Kigurumi for April Fools. It's crazy, guys. We don't just have like these changes that we're gonna be seeing played out today on this game that are like, cosmetic. Like, oh, haha, you turn into a jungle creep when you back for 3 seconds, but then everything else is normal. No, they can spawn scuttle crabs that are three
Yep.
times as big, 3 times as much health, and give you a full kill's worth of gold when you actually take them. So there are some gameplay implication changes in this little April Fool's Edition patch that we've gone full April Fool's mode for. So it's going to be pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be really, really interesting. I mean, I like Echo said, I'm actually surprised the teams are deciding to go through with this, but I mean, it's gonna be a funny series. It's gonna be a little more interesting than what we normally saw, even with the finals that happened last night. I mean, what's gonna happen when people get swarmed by little poros or they get revealed in the bush because of an emote or something?
It's going to
Yeah,
be disaster.
it's going to be quite disastrous as well with two strong heavy hitter teams tonight as well. We have Clover going up against Virtue Gaming Ambition. Now, MXL, can you throw a little graphic on the screen here that I prepared for today? So last week, I put my producer and one of my casters into the hot seat here, and I had you tell me how every single matchup is going to go down. And so we can look at the quarterfinals here. And so far, you guys have just been nailing it to say the absolute least. You guessed that VG Ambition would be taking that game. They do it flawlessly 3-0. Same with GE Black and same with MGM. So, Salt, you and MXL are still 3-0 at the moment. Good looks,
Mm-hmm.
good looks. But we're gonna have to see if any of that changes today. I will give you a chance to double down on your prediction from last week that you said Clover's gonna take this thing home, or I'll let you second guess yourself maybe and go for a different prediction. Who do you think is taking it tonight?
Still got to give it to Clover. I think they're
Mm,
still looking just as solid as always. I mean, we saw them last week again, right? Back to back on stream, and they always perform. They always look good. So Clover just looking like a big, big threat coming through into finals.
yeah, definitely. Since we have a bit more of a not necessarily newer face, but a bit of fresh face here at Dodge. What do you think? Have you been able to kind of look at these teams a little bit? And if so, who do you think is taking things tonight?
Unfortunately, this is my third day in a row in terms of covering Victoris broadcasts, so I didn't have a chance to take the deep dive that I wanted.
Mm.
But since I know Kongman isn't here to lead me astray, I have no problem lashing myself up onto Salt's predictions, especially when you look at this track record. I mean, the man is just smurfing on the predictions, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and say, yeah, let's go for Clover, because I do believe the last time I was helping out VTS, I filled in off the back of another 4 a.m. performance from you for LJL, like week 2, and I did some hosting, and I
Yeah.
think I got to see Clover look pretty dominant even all the way back then. So I think that's a safe bet to go with. But I will say this: it's April Fools. You guys want to try and find some sort of stakes here, make it a little bit more interesting if Ambition does manage to pull something out here.
Oh Lord.
Ooh,
Oh
spooky.
Lord.
Little
I
spooky.
mean, We can discuss the
Hmm.
particulars of that between break, but I have some ideas percolating. So
Oh Lord.
we'll give you guys an update on that, but we'll get back to it. I want to give Ambition some motivation here. You know, everybody's doubting them. Let's give them a little boost into performing at their absolute best. It's semifinals. We're having a fun day. We might as well make it a little bit more fun.
Mhm.
That is very fair. That is very fair. And yeah, I mean, Ambition, they have a tough enemy to conquer here with Clover being absolutely undefeated the entirety of this split. They have not lost once. They dropped like one or two games here and there, but in entirety of it, they've not lost a single series. Someone needs to take these guys down, and maybe Virtue Gaming Ambition is going to be the team to do it. They are right now sitting at a pretty decent 7-2 right now in comparison to Clover, I believe, is at 9-0 at the moment. So it is going to be a tough one to say the least. And honestly, speaking of tough ones, I want to talk about some of these matchups that are going to be incredibly tough. Now, Saul, I want to get your thoughts on these two top laners. You got CR Min going head to head with the number 2 Ginger. Do you think he's going to be staying number 2, or is he maybe going to rise up to the spot and get number 1 Ginger this time around?
I mean, Min has been performing every single time, and I think he was definitely a big contender for player of the game or player of the series last week. Min
Mm,
looked really solid overall, and I mean, number 2 Ginger, seen him a few times, looked good, but I don't know if it's enough to overcome just the pure synergy that comes from the rest of the Clover roster.
mm, Yeah, okay, I definitely feel that. I mean, speaking of some of these players that were in contention for that MVP, right? We have to talk about Young and Junior, right? The mid lane, bot lane aficionados doing absolute just lord's work to say the least. Going up against Chapanya fan. How are you feeling about that one, man?
Uh,
I don't know anything
It's
about
tough.
these teams, but I will just chime in real quick and say while Salt collects his thoughts on this that anybody named after Shifter, that's the wrong NA mid if you want to find success.
ooh,
You know,
Damn.
maybe
oh,
take a deeper cut back. You
ow.
go to Skara. You know, you got your Poe Belters, even Demonte. Like, I don't know, that doesn't inspire success to be naming yourself after Shifter. I love Shifter, great
Maybe it's
streamer,
just
but
maybe
you
it's not
know,
just Shifter. Maybe it's Chapanya himself. Little.
well, who knows? Maybe if you could turn Trapania from a dog into a human, he would be a pretty good mid laner. I
Hmm.
guess that's logic I hadn't
Hmm.
considered. Maybe I
True.
should have changed my thinking pattern that way.
I mean, Chapanya performed well when we did see them, but again, I just think that the mid laner just looks so good from Clover overall. Not much, no complaints at all. Realistically, I think just solid performances. I haven't seen anything to just rag on at all from most of Clover's members. Sure,
Hmm.
everyone makes mistakes, right? But I mean, overall, Clover's just been stomping the competition left, right, and center. They made quick work of Akuma, and they're looking to make quick work of VGA as well, just like last time they met.
Yeah, and I think that's also just one of these strong suits that Clover has is that even when, for example, we saw last week, we had a round where Young wasn't really stepping up to the plate, couldn't get too much work done when he was on that Victor, right? He couldn't really get the damage he was looking for until way later into the round. His team was like, yo, I got you, bro. Just chilling. We'll step up. So instead, Laspa took the reins and was doing Lords, where or straight up Junior as well. He's like, yo, I got you. And so that's kind of, I feel like one of these main things that these teams have in common. But that's enough rambling from me about these teams. Let's just get right into it. Infinite. I'm gonna throw it on over to you and Salt for the draft. Let's get this thing started. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Echo. Here we are for the VTS semis game one draft. It's Clover and VGA going at it as we see the very first band taken off the board is Viego. And to just sort of dovetail on something that Echo was saying as we were moving off here, one of the things that gets me so excited to cast, VTS matchup is that when you're talking about this Elo bracket, the expectation shifts from well, this team is very stylistically one dimensional to, well, these are all higher elo players, higher skilled players. They should be able to carry from a multitude of positions. And it sounds like, from what Echo was saying, Clover has that under their belt,
Hmm.
soundly, Salt. Is that an assessment you would agree with?
Definitely. Again, synergy really matters here, especially when you're reaching the end. And VGA, they had a pretty tough group, right? They still got third place, but Clover, no one was able to take them down. And I think it's just going to be a repeat of what happened during the regular split. And as we see some of these bans come forward, it's going to be that Viego taken away from Captor, the Bard away from Hawkster, just some pretty targeted bans here from Clover just to make sure they're off comfort. So I really think that Clover's fine with them getting meta picks because they're like, hey, even if you pick meta, we can just play it better than you guys. And Virtue just, banning away the Aurelia, really solid soul laner. We did see G2 pick it up, their series earlier this morning. But the Diana still a big threat. It does. If you ban the Diana, don't need to ban the Yasuo. You ban the Yasuo, no need to ban the Diana, vice versa. But the Kindred is definitely a target towards Laspa.
Yeah, that Kindred definitely not one of the more standard picks, but it's
Oh.
as you say with the meta available, it's that Zeri B1 that we've seen a lot of, but we've seen lots of interesting counter picks come out towards this Zeri. Specifically, I don't remember if it was VAS or VRS or if you were there for it, but I do think we saw a Nasus come out in terms of response to the Zeri. We were kind of hyped that it would be a support, not a support, but the immediate response is pick up another one of those scaling hyper carries. Loki Dosi going to be getting that Jinx for themselves, and the Lilia is an interesting one. That's sort of like the realm of one tricks and like comfort pick. More so than meta, as we see the newly buffed Nidalee locked in for Clover. How are you feeling about this jungle matchup?
I mean, Laspa showed that they can play that Nidalee pretty well. They know mostly the Bruiser build, so they go the Conqueror and all sort of style. But I really like this Nautilus pick here. It's really solid into the Lilia, really good into the Jinx as well. Locks them down with point and click CC, which is how you really deal with both of those champs. Leona, though, a really solid answer in a vacuum, too. The Nautilus, but into the Zeri, it's a little bit harder to land your skill shots once she gets moving, once she gets that move speed rolling for herself. And the reason why you usually want to I mean, Clover could have done this. They could have logged in the Nautilus first and say, hey, you can't pick Zeri anymore because we have the Nautilus, and then they'll pick another ADC, and then you pick the Zeri B2. But instead, they were like, we can play the Zeri, you guys can't play the Nautilus. You're not going to pick that. We know you can't, and we're just going to leave that up and take it phase 2.
Yeah, it's as you say that Leona has a better early matchup in a vacuum, but as it goes on, as the Zeri zip and zaps about, it's very, very hard to lock down. That's why typically you pick up the Nautilus because it has the point and click ultimate, or we've seen even the proliferation of these other more cheesy counter picks like Zillion, Nasus, 99% movement speed slows on a point and click. But Clover basically calling the bluff and saying, we'll first pick Zeri because we don't think you're going to pick up any of these responses to it. And so far, they've called Virtue Gaming Ambition out, and they haven't really found anything that screams to me, we have an answer for this Zeri, especially when you look at the Lilia as well, right? It's all skill shot dependent, has a lot of movement speed itself, but definitely easy to juke out on some of that stuff, the bowling ball and whatnot. But now Ornn is the hover. The past 2 nights in our final series for VRS and VAS, we've seen very high Ornn priority, and that is locked in. And it's just such a safe scaling pick, right?
Yeah, and I think he's one of the best tanks to pick up in the game. Really hard to deal with. Gets a lot, very tanky, also really strong because of a lot of those base numbers and percent health damage loaded into his kit, so he can deal with other tanks. And the Scion here, I mean, we saw Min just run it with that Scion, just push towers, breach the gates, make things happen. And I mean, that's why you pick the Scion in general now. Just go the Hullbreaker, Sunfire, Titanic. You are pushing towers, you are pushing waves, and you are cracking the base, and not a single champion can deal with you. It is just so hard and so annoying. You have to play around it, and I think Clover has the comp to do it. They can just 4-1 with their comp. It's a really solid 4-1 comp they have going for themselves, and the team fight really looks strong with the Nautilus, with the Zeri, Ahri to provide some flank potential, and Nidalee just there to escort them through that early game. But on the other side, VGA also have a really solid team fight. The Jinx always going to be a staple pick. Ornn, one of the best frontliners to have as a champion as well, and some great long-range engage, which is pretty lacking there on the side of Clover. Their engage is really mid-range. They also could look for flanks. That's one way they could play this game out, but for the most part, they just look for the flash hooks, anything like that on that Nautilus. But the Orianna just going to be that control mage standard, locked in here, up against that Ahri, and Ahri should be able to get that shove past level 3 for the most part. Orianna's base numbers aren't super high. She is a very hard scaling control mage. Does a lot of damage at that point. But, I mean, it's a very standard comp from VGA.
Very much so. Almost to the point where I wonder if it was worth saving your counter pick for R5 mid lane here when it seems like the Orianna isn't a very decisive answer into the Ahri. It's more so, okay, they wound up picking Ahri. We don't have anything that hard counters that, so I'll just go standard. I mean, I will say VGA outside of the Lilia was very bog standard team fight comp, whereas Clover has a bit more variance, right? A bit more
Mhm.
riding on snowballing that Nidalee, snowballing that Ari. So, in terms of how those two playstyles match up, who do you expect to sort of come away with the victory here? Do you think Clover can meet that early game sort of win condition to bridge into the Zeri scaling, or do you think that VGA is just going to have such a stranglehold on the late game that all they need to do is not in and they can do it?
I just think that VGA don't really have a way to answer this Zeri. The orange CC is not, it's not reliable, right? Sure, it's a pretty wide skill shot, but Zeri can move at the speed of sound. Zeri has a big dash that can take her over walls. They don't really have reliable engage unless they're flash queuing on the Zeri with the Leona, and she should never be in that range anyways to begin with. So I don't really know if VJ have an answer to the Zeri, and I mean, the Nidalee's just going to be able to pop off in the early game. I mean, both these junglers right now aren't really in the meta. Like, the Lilia gets really low during clear, can be taken down, can get invaded, and Nidalee is a specialist at that, running through, taking your camps, invading you, taking you down that way. But the Orianna is going to be okay. I think it's one of the better control mages at the moment, but I think you could have just picked Ryze here if you wanted. Has better wave clear at that level 5 once he is able to get the EQ combo off pretty easily onto the backline, get those easy bases off. Wave management is mostly important there on that Ryze, and I think it's a better pick than the Orianna. Will be able to deal with, and again, point and click CC, right? Orianna CC is not reliable. Ryze has it in a flash EW, and that's not hard to land. So I think the Ryze here actually would have been really strong, and VGA sort of just blundered the draft with their last pick.
Yeah, I kind of have to fall into agreement with you on that. I will say, this is sort of the difference in I think the mentality of different ELO brackets moving into VTS, as I do get to fill in and do some play-by-play up here as compared to our Diamond Cap League VRS and our Plat Cap League VAS, is that despite the fact that I think VGA got outdrafted, it's not like their comp doesn't have identity or doesn't
Mhm.
have an idea of how ideally they would want to play the game together. Strong team fighting tools, right? Front to back, hyperscaling AD carry. It's not a complete int draft. It just
Mhm.
feels like Clover really played the draft better than them, more so than
Mhm.
they lost it completely for themselves with some nonsensical picks. I
Definitely.
too am feeling Clover's draft here. I feel like that Lily is going to have a very hard time with the Nidalee in the early game again, especially fresh off of buffs, some buffs to both forms, human and Cougar. So definitely going to be interesting to see how Lastbut does pilot that one to find hopefully some early game success for themselves and the rest of Clover. But we will see how it does all shake out right on the other side of a quick break. So stay right where you are. We'll be back with the BTS semifinals right after this. All right, everyone, here we are, loaded on to the Rift. It's Infinite Dodge and Salt Spreader. It's the Salty Dodge combo, the best in the biz, coming back at you for another game, and we can't escape it. It's point defense.
Wait, look at the, look at the
Oh
duck.
my, look at the duck, it's here!
Oh my god, that duck is massive.
Oh, it's already
April
started.
Fool's patch, April Fool's patch. Look at the snail. Every time it's
Oh
a
my
taunt.
god.
Oh my god. Oh, it's the dodgeball being played down there. But yeah, no, this is the April Fool's patch, everyone. We get to see some random stuff happening there.
Oh my god. I'm not
Tuck
gonna
Rider
lie,
Leona.
Salt. I forgot for a second that there was gonna be some shenanigans this game, but can't let that fact slip my mind again because the shenanigans are firmly afloat. Look at this
Rubber
rubber ducky, so
duckies.
cute. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm glad Riot did something. I remember when Riot
Yeah.
used to do funny little things all the time, and that sort of character from when they were a small indie company has fallen off a lot over the years. So, you know, if the teams are cool playing this game, good for them. I'm glad it should be a fun time.
Now, the main thing is to see which jungler will RNG the triple health scuttle, because neither of them have CC.
Oh my god.
So
Oh, that's too
who's going to
good.
get screwed over harder is the real question here.
Yeah, definitely so. Yeah, it almost feels like there's maybe a bit of an advantage we didn't consider for VGA, right? We said their comp has 3 losing lanes, right? They don't really have answers for the big threats of Clover. But maybe the ridiculous state of the game will lead to an excess of mistakes that will allow their scaling to really kick into full force as the game drags on longer than it should. You know,
And
that
they're
could
going
be
in
fun.
level 2.
Yeah, they did get the level 2 first, did VGA. That's the cleanse burnt. The aftershock now expired, means Hawkster is the target. Gonna have to flash back off the ignite. So that is 2 summoner spells for 2, but critically, Loki Dosi still holding on to that flash and exhaust at the end of the exchange. And who do you think that favors more here, Salt?
I mean, the flashless Leona isn't all that scary because she does have Hex Blast, but she's more susceptible to getting caught out. So she has to play a little bit more respectfully for the first little bit of this match, because the Nautilus himself also has Flash, and she's not all that tanky in the early game once she hits that level 4 when points start happening. But look at the fight in the top lane, Min, level 3.
Yeah, they're only low level, but this is a bit of a meatball fight. Never really going to be much kill threat there, but we see Laspa absolutely tearing through this jungle, clearing at a very decent rate of speed on the Nidalee. Always a fun thing to see, and now coming around for the gank into the mid lane. Trapani fan trying to play through the minions, but I don't think it's going to be enough. No, it's the first blood over to Clover. Laspa picks that one up, making one of those signature picks look real good. And now number 2, Ginger. Oh my goodness, the minion.
This could be a solo bolo.
With the flash turret and the shield. Gonna have to trade, but might be able to pick up
That's
the plate.
worth.
But yeah, I mean, Deny is such a big wave.
Will also force the Ornn to make that teleportation in to make sure he doesn't lose all of the wave, but the Sion also gets half a plate, which is really significant considering the armor isn't there, or the armor is still alive for that top turret, not until 6 minutes will it actually lose that extra little bit of tankiness. Both solo lanes do have that little buff on their towers for the first part of the game, but this Nidalee is going to be able to look for another play on Chapanya fan, not going to find the spear, but Lilia might be caught here.
Oh, he did it
no!
to her! Oh, that's a tragedy, but now maybe in the 2v1, but no, Laspa all the way up with the red buff as well. This is not a fight you can take as VGA. Just getting bullied out of the river, taking the crab, taking the engagement, but look at this roam! Oh my goodness, Junior all the way up, but they're not gonna find it. Oh, man.
That's fine. Orianna just burned her TP to get back to lane and has to burn the flash right after. Oh, Laspa! Oh my.
Turret! He hits the spear on the backing target. Oh, Clover absolutely running this early game. It's the worst nightmare of the VGA and their fans come to life. This early game comp just doing absolute work right now.
Yeah, I mean, the only early game champion there, realistically, is that Nidalee. Ari is like a mid game champ when she hits that level 6. But, I mean, this Nidalee already popping off 2 kills, finds that one earlier. And, you know, it's looking really, really scary. Double scuttle there for this Nidalee as well. She's getting that XP advantage, which is really, really huge for this early game as well. Not up camps, but those 2 kills mean a lot, and Scuttles do give some decent XP. And we actually didn't see a triple health or triple shield Scuttle for the first spawn, but it can still happen, so keep an eye on that one. It does give more XP and more gold. But Vision, definitely in favor of Clover. They have their wards lined up for themselves. They are going to know where this Lily is going to be for the most part. Number 2 Ginger failing the E combo.
Yeah, not going to find that knockup, just going to get chunked out to half health. Does have Captor here to try and back things up as the 6 is ticked over. That call of the Forge God could make a big difference in finding a bit of a CC chain. But Captor, you know, this is being a jungle player in 2022, right? Your solo laners are cresting 6 or at 6, and you're level 4. So not really much the Lilia can offer in that situation. No hard CC until that sleep does come through. So just going to have to back off, and hopefully number 2 Ginger can continue to hold a bit of a freeze here and wait for the Lilia to come back around. But Min getting aggressive with it. It's just such a scary matchup. Oh, Chapani fed now. No mana for CR Young, however, so the Clover mid lane are not going to be able to find anything more off of that.
That trade does force the wave under tower, so she is going to be able to grab that, or the Ahri's going to be able to grab the base and get some more items in her back pocket here. Number 2 Ginger looking for the outplay under the tower, potentially not going to find all that much, but Nidalee is just sticking around on this top side of the map. She knows the Scion's winning. She knows that the Ahri is winning as well. Call the Forge God go.
Yeah, it did connect. The damage went through, but Min, you know, smartly going unstoppable. It doesn't matter because we're in the bot lane. But look at that. Junior can just go over the wall, leaving Limit Tester all on his lonesome, forced to flash the fat wall. Does get up, but Noki Dosi now finding the flash, trying to get that extended range, but will not pick up the kills, cannot get excited. So still down about 1k as VGAs. They fail to convert on anything down there. At the very least, they do throw 3 summoners, though, Salt.
They do burn a lot of summoners, and it looked like a good cleanse, but the Chompers were already down. At that point, you have to wait for the Chompers to actually get the root off before cleansing, instead of waiting for the Leona, or instead of instantly cleansing Leona E. It's really, really tough to actually get that timing down, but Yuner's still able to get out of that, and Limit Tester still burning the sums, but that means they don't give kills over to that Jinx. He doesn't even get that plate. Sure, it does deny this area a little bit, but they did commit quite a bit of the jungler's time down there on the bot side, and that's really important because this Nidalee is already looking for an invade.
Yeah, just using that smart cross-map awareness, but now going to be found out. Half health does have the red buff to the advantage, but look at where number 2 Ginger is. Can come over. That's the flash. That's the watch out Eve. That's the bowling ball. That is the cue to find the shutdown. Captor finally making their presence known in this game. Ticks over to 6 off the back of it as well. Says, you think you can take that red buff? Nah, in the end, it's my red buff, and you're not getting away with it.
Yeah, and great awareness from the Lilia to know where this, to know the red buff's already gone and just go straight for the Krugs to see if the Nidalee's there. She's gonna get low. Krugs do a lot of damage, and Nidalee does require a lot of skill to actually not take all that much damage. Ginger, though, might be in a little bit of trouble here. The Scion hidden pretty rough right now, and Captor looking solid, though. The Lucidity boosts have been picked up, so the clear is gonna get a lot easier from here on out. Although, in the mid lane, Young just having a natural 10 CS lead here, even when their range is about even. Chapania has to respect the W poke from the Ahri in this early game.
Yeah, it was a bit of a slow stacked wave up there in the top lane. Allows Min to play with impunity, can just sort of take these big aggressive trades into number 2 Ginger. We expected a bit of a boring top lane, but they've been scrapping constantly, have these meatball tanks. As we see it continue again, the knockup going to come through. The biggest advantage here for number 2 Ginger is, of course, that Bellows Breath, percent health, brittle proc, but look at this, Min just not afraid whatsoever to continue getting down and dirty up in this lane. We will see if number 2 Ginger can hold the freeze, though. We see Laspa in the river going towards that Scuttle. Maybe, no, I think it is actually the Herald. Yeah, it's the Rift Herald being started up, and it will be taken away as well, so no Dragons taken yet. Interestingly enough, Salt, it will be the cross-map response, I would have to assume, from VGA, but that's our first objective here at 10 minutes, and it's going to be the first Herald.
It is going to be Miss Shelly picked up here for the side of Clover, and as that early game comp, you want to try and grab that as early as possible so you can start getting plates in the mid lane and the bot lane. Just getting the champions that need some of that gold. Oh, nice flash.
Yeah, but look at that knockup, not quite going to connect, and now, no, it will go through. The kill for number 2 Ginger onto CR Min, but in the meanwhile, in the bot lane, we have even more fighting. The Drowsy going to do lots of work as the Watch Out Eve picks that one up, but can Yuner find any more with this Zeri stacked up level 6? No, it doesn't look like it. Young not going to connect on the charm now in the river. Chapani fan going forward, has the ball, trying to command it, trying to find the damage down in the summon area, going to find a little bit more poke as the flash aftershock, or rather, Shock Wave does pick up the kill there as VGA showing signs of life in this game. They've really popped off in the past few minutes, but now Laspa trying to turn the tide in the bot lane, going to force back Captor and Loki. But in the end, that's a big, scrappy series to play. Why don't you break it down for us, Salt?
Yeah, so Sion trades 1-for-1 up in the top lane, gets the full shove on the wave as well. In the mid lane, though, Young not willing to flash, and beautiful combo, though, from Trapania, using that flash shockwave to not show where the ball is actually going to be, so the Ahri can't really look to dodge it. She has to instantly flash if she thinks the shockwave is going to be cast. It's a lot harder to see if you can't see the ball, though. And on the bot side, though, they do get Limit Tester, but they trade it 1-for-1. They do lose Hawkster down there as well. And you know, Lilia was also able to pick up a kill there, so the junglers do end up being the main beneficiaries of these bot lane plays. But look at the tower, though. Laspa and Junior is able to claim that up because it's Zeri in Italy. Zeri is actually really, really strong at taking towers because she can use that passive auto on those towers as well. It just does so much damage so quickly in such a short amount of time that towers are easy work for her. And Limit Tester making a quick roam to the mid lane looking for a hook.
Yeah, not going to find anything there, but it is the gold lead pretty squarely in the back pocket of Clover off of that first turret take, that Herald being used to absolute perfection after, you know, finding the return play in the bot lane, scaring away Captor, going to give it easy pickings access to that bot lane turret. So it is about 2k the advantage for Clover, plenty of room to continue expanding that, but it's been nice to see VGA finding their windows to you know, get return kills, get some looks back in the early game. No objectives on the map, and that's certainly not a triple health scuttle. I am just waiting for it to come through. I want to see it so badly. But really nothing to fight over for these teams right now, so it's just going to be about who mispositions first, right? Who puts themselves in that range to get sort of picked out. And I'm curious where that, you know, that first domino is going to drop.
Limit Tester. Not going to be able to find the play. But they do rotate this area up to this top lane so she can get some more money in her back pocket. Again, having that tower all to herself, really, really great. Getting a lot of gold into her back pocket. And Zeri, again, already finishing that Trinity Force, foregoing the tier 2 boots right away. And that is definitely something I always like to see out of AD carries. Don't go those tier 2 boots right away. It's better to just grab your mythic, get that mythic spike as fast as possible, because that's when you start spiking. Having that mythic, especially on Zeri, where she spikes really hard, with that one item, does so much damage, and it's just such a good item on her. It's perfectly synergistic, as all things should be. But in the bot side, the Jinx will never be able to get pressure onto this Sion. He does not care about her damage. He does not care about waves. His wave clear is just too strong. And Laspa, again, looking for this red buff steal once more.
Yeah, and will ball that one away. The heist is complete. Jungle Cat Nidalee in and out as Captor is left to prance on down on those dainty little, is she a pony, a deer? Something like that. She's going to have to go on down to the bot side now as the dive is beginning to get set up on number 2 Ginger. The spear does hook, and so does the dredge line now. That is the ultimate coming out from Uner. That is going to be the first kill onto the Ornn. Captor, you are caught out in a bad spot, but at least they have some low health bars to work with. Uner going to continue to stack this lightning procs, but I don't think that's the direction you want to run on this. Zeri going to get queued up, going to get blasted down by that ball. Will be picked up to even out the kill trade once again. 1-for-1 in the end. So many resources expended, though. Will it continue? Hawkster's here. Doesn't connect on the Solar Flare. Going to be chasing down Lapso. Will find the Zenith Blade, and now the Watch Out Heap will find another shutdown. But again, it's the even trade, and now Young with the Spirit Rush can continue to come forward. Will not have the damage cut through the tanky Leona, though, as Hawkster sort of rubs her face in it. But it's just these continued scrappy plays all across the map here, Salt.
They looked for the play on the top side. They wanted to push Ornn out and maybe grab the tower, but the teleport's coming through. Denied that big play, forces area to be taken down. But doesn't really do all that much for her because she's still basically even with the Jinx, if not ahead. The Jinx, though, having a great time freezing down on this boss side. She's been there for the past 2 minutes, so she's actually going to be at a XP lead because of this play. Ahri, though, going to be giving up that blue buff and setting up for Dragon as well. We see the entirety of Clover rotated towards this bottom side, wanting to grab the second Dragon.
Yeah, thank you to production for bringing us over this very nice XP graph coming through. We do see that this Loki a little bit ahead of Uner, despite the way the lane did pan out because of the nice wave management. It's a big play. Unfortunately, level 9, not the biggest spike ahead of this Dragon Pit, and it will still be Clover with the full access first rotation over, so not even a chance at a contest here from VGA. They did buy themselves a little bit of a buffer time, trading cross-map off the first Herald for that first Drake, so it's not like the stacking has really been there for Clover, but that scaling element for Clover is still there just as much as it is for the Ornn for VGA. They have the Zeri, who's only going to be getting stronger, so you really want to find some sort of concrete, advantage off these early plays if you are VGA. Try and find something you can leverage in the late game that they won't be able to. As last,
Oh, they found a sleep.
Yeah, the Zonia is good. The stopwatch, rather, I should say, but the CC chain is still so nasty. They do, in the end, find the kill, but isn't an overextension to get it. Number 2, Ginger, taking all the way down, but look at Captor buying so much space. It's not going to result in anything, not yet, but here comes the unstoppable onslaught going forward, going to find the knockup, absolutely deleting the health bar of Trapani Fan. Is this full tank? But now Min is the one who's being cut through, trying to get backed up by the Zeri, but look at this, it's Mathis now, the zombie form coming through for Min, going to be chasing down Hogster. Can you finally trade back one? No, you could not. That's going to be the double kill coming through for Loki Dosi on the Jinx as well. That is a huge swing of advantage for DGA. They could now target down this tier 1 turret as they go 2-0 there. They're, I think, maybe the extended 3-0 actually, so that is a huge play for Virtue.
Virtue looking really solid here, picking up some big gold, putting it on the Jinx where it needs to be. This Jinx is their way through this late game. She needs to be strong. She needs to get this gold. She needs to keep getting this experience as well. And picking up those 2 kills feels really, really great for herself at the same time. This Lilia also picking up some gold, also picking up some good farm. Now almost 20 CS ahead of her jungle counterpart. And this Orianna's just there being pretty supportive of the control mage. Not really doing all that much, but Shirley has been picked up by the side of Virtue. Looking to make things happen. With that, maybe grab that bot lane tower, give it to Jinx. Just try and get as much gold into this Jinx as possible here. You guys scale really, really well, but always have to be wary of Clover. They have really good pick potential with the Zeri going over a wall, with the Nautilus looking over a wall as well, and Italy will always be a threat too.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bot gap in that last fight. You are not quite on the power spike necessary yet to get that massive AoE damage down that Loki was able to achieve with those rockets. And now it's actually looking a little bit scary from Clover off the back of a good early game. The question becomes, did you buy yourself enough advantages in the right spots to be able to continue taking it to VGA before this Jinx can just take over the game? As well, the Ahri not really as snowballed as you would like from that champion. After a very rough laning phase, Trapani Fan actually looking pretty good when all is said and done, but here comes an opportunity. No. That's the depth charge. The traps were good, but the dredge line still connects, so it's not going to be enough. The shutdown goes over to Laspa. Maybe not where you want that gold at this point in the game, but still not going to be as bad as the Nautilus getting it, as Limit Tester does get traded back over. Min a little bit late on the unstoppable onslaught, but look at the free-hitting Zeri getting so much damage down, forcing the flash out of Captor. So that's a nice couple of advantages even bought back on the end of that fight from Clover.
It is a 1-for-1, although going in.
Still looking for this tier 1. They haven't left yet. Number 2, Ginger going to fall in the back half as well. Just overextending to try and defend that. The kill, once again, unfortunately, does go over to Laspa. I mean, this is your big carry, right? You can't say unfortunately. Laspa made so much happen in the early game, has been a big force in these fights as well. But you want to funnel some of this gold into the Zeri, right?
You really do. She is your late game. She is everything your team has once you reach that 35-minute mark. She needs to be having this gold. She needs to be starting to pop off here. And unfortunately, this is looking like a little bit of a support Zeri there. 0-1-5. Not a single kill to her name. And I think the last kill could have just been given over. Maybe it was just a little bit of a miscommunication. But this Zeri needs to get some kills. She is still behind in gold, I do believe. But I mean, VGA, their Jinx is almost online, almost finished up that rapid-fire cannon. Looking really, really good for herself there. But towers still in favor of Clover. They have 2-1. They are leading in that respect. They were able to grab the mid tower with the last play. The bot tower was already claimed very easily by Uner and Laspa on their own. Now they just, I mean, well, there's one tower left. I think they could just send Sion off to this top side. He has the teleport available in just under 10 seconds. So just grab up that tower. You have the demolish. Just look for plays around there. Try and get as much of that standing gold as you can while you still have this early game advantage.
Yeah, it would definitely be the play to look for. In the meanwhile, we just have 20 seconds to go until the Hextech Drake hits the Rift. Hextech Soul going to be so important for either of these AD carries. It synergizes with the both of them so well, adding that extra AoE damage and attack speed on the individual dragon stacks. And if we look, once again, the vision control around the pit just more or less immaculate for the side of Clover here. But now we do have VGA coming back in, clearing some of it out, getting this rotation. Bowling Ball not going to find anybody to apply that first sleep, but there's the flash! Dredgeline in from Limit Tester, and he was testing those limits, as it will be number 2 Ginger picked up first, and look at the backline. Is the Jinx under fire? It will be Lokidosi taken out. This is starting to look like a wash, but it is a multi-man sleep in return. Trapani finds one back. What can they do? Uner, can you make it out? Yes, you can, with the heal still in your back pocket. Lapsa now goes on to a killing spree. Captor all on their lonesome, trying to find it. Will dodge out the spear. Look at that. The Orianna still backing them up around this bottom wave. Now it's Young in the 1v2. Lots of low health bars for Clover,
It's
but they
Drake, though.
still have the move onto the Drake, as you point out. I don't know if they can contest this. They're going to put down the Rift Herald to force them to respond. That's a big brain move from Captor. Not going to find the heal off of that Q, though. Does dodge out on the hook, but the Aftershock, or rather the Everfrost, is not as lucky as Japanyafan now finds one back at the end, but will be felled. The Rocket won't take the Drake, although it comes damn close. And in the end of a very long fight, it's Clover taking the Drake and taking it home.
They also go up 3.3 gold, or 3.3k gold, looking really, really solid. Zeri still not able to pick up her kills, but, I mean, Laspa popping off here so far, still finding these advantages, finding these kills, and keeping Zeri alive throughout most of this fight. You know, those heals, the buffs came through, the buffs are helping quite a bit, and VGA just can't really answer. Sure, it looked pretty rough. They burned a lot of their cooldowns in the first little bit of the fight on the Leona, on that Ornn, but they weren't able to find anything after. Right? VGA couldn't do anything with that cooldown advantage they had. They tried their best to get on this Zeri, but just last by keeping them alive. Min just dive in the backline, keeping Lokidosi stuck for 10 years, doing so much damage. And once he finishes that Fimble Winter, it's going to be even harder to deal with as well. They are going to give up over this blue buff too young to grab that one up for themselves there. But, I mean, Min is a force to be reckoned with right now. No one can really match him in damage at this point. He's just so tanky.
Yeah, it's a really rough angle to go for, and of course the Gale Force, such the meta mythic at this point after the nerfs coming through to Shield Bow, and Kraken Slayer just not offering the defensive utility of either of those mythics, so it's not really an option for Lokidosi to try and find the damage through Min. The one thing that VGA does still have going for them ahead of this Baron here that is now onto the map is that their AD carry is on 2 items, because Uner has not been lucky in finding those kills, as we do see Min trading very aggressively onto number 2, but it won't result in very much as the wave still does get cleared out. So you're going to have to try and play through that. If you can shut down Laspa, right, it's a good angle for you. That's where so much of the gold is, a big fat 400 gold shutdown, and then maybe it buys you the space you need to work on the other members. But it is a definite advantage here in every respect for Clover. Up that 4K, have more map control, start to stack these Drakes as well. It's really going to have to be VGA looking for a big knockback punch very soon if they want to keep themselves in this game for the long run.
And VGA did show they have some ways through it. Lokidosi still looking really solid, but again, got caught in that fight. They did not account for the Scion and did not have the peel because Leona and Ornn were keeping the back line busy of Clover. But they can actually just look to do this Dre, or not, they could look for it, but, you know, having Captor up on the top side, a little bit scary. The 2 meatballs on the bot side are just going to keep fighting for the next little bit. And I think if it's a battle of attrition, it's going to be the Scion who wins. His health pool's a lot larger. He also has that Corrupting Potion as well, so we'll be able to sustain through a good amount of this. And the shield's really insane from that Fimble Winter as well. Just look at that Scion not caring about the Ornn's damage whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a bit of a... would this be a Diffie in the Biffy because they're in the bot lane, or a Diffie in the Tiffy considering that's where they started out?
Still a Tiffy. They are top laners just as it is. And the Scion also has a lot better wave clear. He only needs 1 spell to do so, whereas the Ornn needs to burn the combo to make things happen against the wave there. So this Ornn going to be struggling, going to have to base real soon to get some more components in his back pocket. But look at the constant aggressiveness of Clover. They're just constantly sitting in that jungle, looking to make things happen. They're just trying to clear vision, just force it to be Fog of War permanently in that red side quadrant up there. And Scion just going to grab that tower. The Ornn cannot do anything about it.
Yeah, nothing whatsoever, as winning out pretty handily on both sides of the map here are Clover. And the one big advantage which VGA had, which was they had the better flash timers. Everybody on that top side of the map, no flash, but they will be all returning very soon. So, you know, VGA could have looked for a fight there and had a massive advantage with 4 of their members having flash. Now, Laspa, though, caught out, knocked up in the midst of the jump. Can they find it? They get the multi-man sleep off of Lilia, but Casper might be taken out first. The Rocket will not actually come to usage there from the Jinx, as it will be the Lilia who picks it up, but they finally found their moment, they found their fight, did VGA. They have to continue to cut through these members, however, Lokidosi free firing is the scenario you want, as the shockwave is so huge there. That will be the wipe, that will be the ace coming through with the triple kill, exactly where you want it for VGA. They get such a huge fight.
And it was all off the back of Laspa getting caught. Sure, it bought some time, but the Zeri just wasn't able to walk forward, wasn't able to sustain, you know, all of that last team fight there in the Dragon Pit was because of Laspa keeping Zeri alive. Unfortunately, though, Yuner did not have that little backup that he was used to having because the Nidalee, who is most of the gold, got picked off right away. And just good luck there from the Ornn to find that. Good awareness from Hawkster to keep looking for that Nidalee. Just make the most of the fight as soon as they can, and they did. Dragon up in 8 seconds too. They don't have the timers, and it's all on VGA. This Dragon should be free. Laspa, though, could look for a steal.
They don't have the big DPS, however, as Lokidosi was taken out in the back end of that fight. Laspa's here, has the smite available. We're in a whole different world than we've been in years past, where XP advantage means absolutely nothing, so Captor being level 13
oh my
not
God,
going to give you a more advantageous smite. As look at this, Chad Min over the back wall sets up the steal, as now they're going to steal away the fight as well. You have to feel, although Sion is so tanky, just toning away the 80 carry all on his lonesome. Look at that, it's a double kill coming through for the Zeri. Finally, the gold into her back pocket. This electric little girl from Zon making all the difference in this team fight. It's the immediate counter ace with the Baron available for Clover.
And you just have to think that this counter ace is just so much more impactful here for Clover. They're able to get that Dragon off of a beautiful steal from Laspa and Min, and then grab up the Baron as well to just push and take down these towers. Tier 2s are still alive, so one more Tier 2, that's 600 gold. Oh my, Min, look what happened to us? He got so tiny.
Oh man, this is, he's so small. And now he's big again. Oh my god. This April Fool's Day patch is a fun one, as that will be the Nasher claimed over to Clover. They got a Baron power play in their pockets, ready to go, ready to balloon this gold lead even further. Expanded. They're up 7k to begin with. We'll see what they can do off the back end. Foxter and Captor playing buddy here, as they never know when the pickout could come, even in their own jungle. They know the map is not theirs anymore. And Salt, I have to ask, now that you've had some kills onto Yuner, is it a bit too late to really find a solid win condition for VGA, or is there still something they can do to cement themselves a path to victory in this game?
I mean, the Jinx still 3 items, but it's all on finding these picks. They need to catch out Zeri, they need to catch out Laspa. Young is a little too movable, too mobile to actually catch out right here, and not the strongest member. It's all on them finding a pick onto the Zeri with this Leona. She's the only way they can actually look for a big play here. Maybe a flash Q from the Zeri, or from the Leona. Not Leona, Lilia, sorry. Flash Q from the Lilia to get that sleep, make something happen that way, but it's still difficult to make happen because Lilia has no Zonias yet. She needs to be able to buy space for her team to get into position to actually deal that damage, because a Flash Q is really hard to follow up when you have a million move speed. But Young just pushing down this bottom lane here, Sion up at the top side. It is going to be a general 1-3-1 coming through. Actually, 1, 2, and 2 for the most part. Young might be caught out here though. Beautiful sleep.
Yeah, but look at the mobility left available from that Spirit Rush ultimate. Had 2 more charges left to go as well. So just nothing going to be found off the back of it. So that's a big ultimate cooldown wasted for Captor. And in the meanwhile, Min on the opposite side of the map. I mean, this Sion is unstoppable right now, just doing what Sion does, pushing down turrets like a madman. Going to be so hard for VGA to counteract this siege, as they're down almost 10,000 gold here. Oh my god, Min is bigger than the turret. That is absolutely
Min is
wild.
massive. And, I mean, this Jinx just doesn't really do the damage she needs to. She has a sort of anti-synergistic build. There she has the Gale Force, Lord Dom's Rapid Fire. If you have the Rapid Fire, I mean, you really want the Irish to be poking out these squishies to take down Juner, take down Young and Laspa. That's why you have that build there. But if you go the Phantom Dancer, you're trying to take down Min, and no one can really deal with Min right now. And Young looking for the play here. Not going to find too much, though.
Yeah, that's just number 2 Ginger getting very much chunked out in a way that feels very bad if you are building tanky, because it just goes to show your tank stats mean nothing when you're this far behind, as min-maxing to effective... Chapanya, you want to be careful there, buddy. But yeah, Min is
Yeah.
min-maxing here. He has maxed his size, minimized his ints. That's exactly what you want to do on the Scion, unless you're the boss, that is. And it's
0-12 every
it's
game.
it's working to perfection for the side of Clover
Is
right now.
look at Min go. He takes no damage from the tower. That was just the W shield, and he just face tanked everything. He has so much armor. Doesn't have to worry about the Orianna or the Lilia, because he has that Force of Nature as well. But oh, Limit Tester might be caught out here.
Yeah, just the edge of the solar flare, but it will be enough to find at least one kill. Maybe
Oh!
no, he lives for so long. Finally, he does fall, but look at the return damage. The shockwave not going to do anything at all, as that's the 2-for-1 picked up from the side of Clover. From the desperation play started by VGA. Now look at the Scion all the way around the back. Choo-choo train coming into the station. Woo, woo! Here he comes with the knockup, going to zone them away from their own tier 3 turret. Last but here to help pick up the kill as well. That was just an absolute massacre coming through for Clover, and it should be the straw that breaks the bases back in the end as well. That's an inhib going down. These Nexus turrets in Min's sights. The TP coming back in as well to keep this wave healthy and alive. They should be able to siege through this so effectively. Look at Young solo-handedly zoning back all of VGA's hopes and dreams. Japania fan can find absolutely nothing as Clover take game 1.
And Clover just looked so great throughout the entire game. Sure, they had a couple missteps, but I don't think it was enough to deny just how strong and synergistic they are as a team, right? Yunar, sure, didn't get all the resources, but was still able to pop off in those late game team fights. Laspa on the Nidalee, on that early game carry, pushing them forward, and Min just being that rock, that stable island up on the top side, making things happen all on his own. And Young just being that Ari, and it was that charm. That charm onto Loki Dosi is what won them that fight. The Jinx was not expecting that to break through the little minions, the little champions in front of her, and she just got charmed up and instantly one-tapped by the entirety of Clover. And, I mean, Limit Tester did get caught there in that last fight, but, I mean, it was a bait, just a bait. That's literally it.
Yeah, definitely so. The story of that game really felt like, Clover, whether they're winning or losing the team fight in the 4v4 or the 4v5 on one side of the map, it's still Min just absolutely sieging down with impunity on the other side. Really, from about the 20-minute mark on, felt like their game all the way through. Goes to show why they were undefeated, why they're our #1 seed coming into playoffs here. But we are going to head to a short break before we get right back to desk action and more games of this semifinal. So stay tuned, stay right where you are. We'll be back in a moment.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back on the desk, and with game one out of the way, I will say VGA definitely gave Clover a bit more of a run for the money than a lot of us might have expected. But I will say, Laspa definitely was kind of looking like the make or break of his team there, at least towards the start here. A lot of damage coming out from just the amount of sheer poke that he was able to output, especially in this early to mid game. But I feel like, especially when he did go down, at least towards his mid game, things weren't looking too good for Clover. I don't know, Dodge. Let me get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think Clover played a very intelligent game and sort of bridged into the mid game in the best way possible when so much of the gold went on to that Nidalee, who wasn't going to have as much impact in the team fights. They stalled out the team fights really
Mm,
well, while Min could get advantages on the other side of the map and then either TP or ultimate all the way over to get there and turn the back half. So many times we saw these very extended team fights where the Scion was able to make a difference in multiple ways. So while you are correct that Lashman was sort of running things and it started to look good once he was gone, the accumulation of resources never really stopped. Despite, I think, we took a look at that gold graph during the game. Production was kind enough to bring
Mhm.
that up, and it was like boom, 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 going up, 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 and there was like a little dip down for one moment, but then after the next team fight, it was just up, 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 up again, all the way through for Clover. I mean, it was just very cleanly played all around, and by the time it mattered, super late game Salt, that Zeri was starting to pick up the kills and really couldn't be stopped anymore.
mm.
And it was all of them just having no way to catch her, or no simple way to catch her, right? That's why you pick champs like the Nautilus, like the Nasus, to just instantly shut her down. And if the Zeri's allowed to run rampant without losing lane too hard, that's the scariest thing you could ever ask for. The Zeri, sure, her mosquito bites don't really do much in the early game, but eventually they become full-on tasers, zapping you from light years away while running at the speed of sound. I mean, that's just always the scariest thing to do, or scariest thing to see about that Zeri, though, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, the Jinx always going to be that staple, right? The simple 80 carry, you right click from 10 years away, do your job, right? But Zeri is that new modern tech for all of us boomers. We're all old here, right? That's the new tech here. Hey, your auto attacks are skill shots now.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. It is that new tech, and I mean, it did work out for them at the end there. I will say, Loki Dosi was definitely doing quite a decent job there, grabbing those resets right and trying to just forward these fights and get those kills. Was definitely nice to see, and also Captor on the league was looking actually a whole lot better than I might have expected at the start here. I wasn't really sure how well that was going to be faring out, but at the end of the day, was looking good. Fell a little short at the end, unfortunately, but I feel that also just you have to test that to the fact that, like we talked about pre-draft, like you guys talked about during the draft itself, right? Clover is just a team where if one member falls behind, the rest are always going to be there to pick up the slack, right? You even said how, like, towards that end there, that fatal charm that came out from Young, I believe. I think, Saul, you were
Mhm.
mentioning that. Run me back through that. How was that such a, like, pivotal moment?
I mean, they thought they caught the Nautilus, and it was a good look from VGA, but while they were looking at the Nautilus, they weren't looking at the Ari, who has that really, really strong pick potential if you're able to get in range of it. And the Charm is one of the most deadly abilities in the game because it pulls you towards the enemy team. It doesn't just stun you, it doesn't just root you. You are walking into enemy territory, and Loki Doji just got instantly burst as soon as that Charm landed.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's spelled big things for Clover to say the absolute least. But I will say that they definitely do still need to be careful. This wasn't by any means a stomp as we might have expected. So
Mhm.
definitely there are opportunities for VGA to come back into this thing if they want to grab this. And honestly, Saul, I just want to ask you, what do you think VGA has to do different if they want to grab this next game?
I mean, try and get Laspa off of these early game carries that can make things happen, right? Laspa was
Mhm.
that linchpin of Clover, right? Sure, the
Yeah.
Sun was winning lane on his own, making things happen there, and good lane phase from Young, but Laspa was the one pulling real advantages, getting good ganks off, getting good kills off, getting solid invades off, denying experience from the enemy jungler, and that's what you really need to be doing, focusing on Laspa. Laspa's been pushing advantages in every single game that we've seen so far from Clover,
Mhm.
and sure, Yunar and Young always pop off, they always find their way in, but Laspa is that the strongest early game role is going to be the jungle. So you
Yeah.
got to deny what it can do by forcing Laspa out of the way.
Definitely. Definitely. Infinite, anything you want to add to that, or did Saul cover that all pretty well?
I mean, pushing lanes definitely feels like a big part of the formula. It's so much harder for whatever champion Laspa finds themselves on to have impact in the enemy jungle if you are going to, because it goes back to what you said about Captor, right? Playing the Lily, it's a much more efficacy than we maybe expected out of that pick, but Lily is not something you play if you're not really good at it. So I guess we should have expected the fact that in the team fights, it looked really strong and even got a couple of good early ganks off. I think one of the issues is, though, when the Nidalee's allowed to run rampant because your lanes are always getting pushed under turret and it's a free dive angle for, you know, you don't have any agency within the lanes to avoid being farmed by the Nidalee, it gets so much harder for the Lilia to operate on the level that you want, or whatever Captor finds themselves on. Looks like they have some spicy, you know, comfort picks for themselves. It's so difficult to have any impact when the Nidalee's in your jungle, taking your red buff, taking your Krugs, you know, on repeat. So definitely draft yourself some winning lanes that have priority to back you up on those invades and keep Laspa from just, you know, being able to run around the map with them PMD. Draw that attention places where it's a bit more frustrating for the side of Clover.
All right, well, that was a perfect segue to say the absolute least, because we're going to be able to see if they are going to follow this nice little spreadsheet that Infinite just laid out for us. And so we'll throw it to a draft already. Boys, take it away.
Alrighty. And wow, who would have guessed a Zeri first pick? That's crazy. Now,
My mind is blown.
I called VGA out last time. MF is really solid in lane into the Zeri. And there it is. That's what I wanted to see. Pick the Nautilus. Boom. But actually, I think a better support here would have been Nasus. Because you have MF, who is going to build lethality, and also scales pretty well too. I think the Nasus here is actually the pick instead of the Nautilus. Show, hey, we can get that anti-meta here. But, I mean, Nautilus is pretty okay as well. Pretty solid meta support and great into Zeri. It is going to be traded, though. Limit Test are going to grab up the Leona stronger in the early game. But also really strong into MF as well, because she can't get that full channel. It's going to be swapped in for Renata. And
yeah,
we'll see. Could work out here. Haven't seen too many Renatas so far. I think we saw one yesterday, right?
Yeah,
And
it wasn't the most effective.
Yeah, but some ultimates, you know, they look pretty good, but it's the lane phase of that champ you have to recognize. It's really, really poor. And into champs like Nautilus MF, it's going to get bullied, especially with an ADC like Zeri, who, again, also very susceptible to getting bullied. But Young going to pick the early mid laner there, blind picking. And I think that's pretty alright. Young showed that they know how to lane. And Captor going for the Lilia again. And they do have a lot of priority on this bot lane, though, here with their pickups. So, I mean, they definitely have a lane to play through now.
Yeah, some runbacks. It's interesting to me because depending on how Lokidosi builds here, right, on the MF, you're not going to be the most auto attack focused as Misfortune. So using the Renata as a counter pick to say, oh, you know, against the Jinx, it makes a lot more sense, right? The Jinx gets excited, then gets hit by the hostile taker, say hello to my little friend, cutting through their own team. The MF, it's a lot less auto attack dependent for Virtue this time around, so it's not like that's a huge brain counterpick for the late game. And it's like you point out, the range is so low, the damage so low from Renata in lane. You're pairing it with the scaling carry against this very lane dominant lane of MF Nautilus. I don't really understand the angle they're going for with it, but maybe it's a bit of a limit test, right? They do have limit tester right on that roster. It's right in the name, so we'll see how that bot lane does play out. But I think that's, you know, one check mark already off, pushing lane for Virtue Gaming Ambition in the bot lane, and maybe Captor can find a little bit more efficacy with the Lily off the back of it. But we now are through our second phase of bans, and the Orin's going to get picked back up with the Scion taken away this time. So we'll have to see what Min's response will be.
And I think it's a pretty solid response here to get rid of that Scion, because it was a nuisance. It was a big threat, and also, again, really strong into both Nautilus and the MF here. The Xin Zhao going to be locked in here for Laspa. Again, another strong early game jungler with great invade potential. Also, there's a lot of damage to escort this Zeri and this Renata into that mid to late game where they actually truly thrive here. But it is going to be the set here locked in for Min, and I think it's okay. It's solid into the Orin in lane, but doesn't scale nearly as well into these team fights. But again, strong into the MF, you can get that full haymaker right onto that backline if you throw, and along with side throwing an Orin into the backline, can do a lot of work here. And I mean, we saw Min just hard win the lane.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing we always have to consider, right, with the set that I think a lot of people forget, which is the damage of his ultimate scales with how much health the people he's grabbing have.
Hmm.
So when you have a hyper tank like Ornn, who's going to be building so much health, going to be getting up to 3,500 4K health at 6 items, I mean, you are going to be doing lots of damage, and that offers you a bit more scaling than maybe you would have had otherwise. As we see, it's a lot of a salty run back on the top side for VGA. They've just changed up the bot lane, but I feel like it's worked out a lot better for them in terms of how these drafts match up here at the end of draft days in game number 2, Salt.
It's a weak bot lane for Clover versus a strong bot lane from Virtue, but I still like the top side from Clover. It's really strong early and will help the Zeri pull forward later into the game. But again, I mean, Lilia looked really good from Captor, right? It can make things happen here, but mostly onto this Renata here. And there's not really too many auto attackers on VGA as long as the MF's not building crit. And I don't think there's a real reason for her to build crit this game, right? Most of the targets she's going to be dealing with are squishy, although Xin Zhao really strong into the MF because of that Crescent Guard. But I mean, it's not really enough to warrant not building lethality. I think lethality is just the way to go no matter what. It does have a nice amount of, max health shred if you do build it. But for the most part, I still value Clover's draft a little bit higher, but Virtue Gaming definitely did have a solid answer here for game number 2.
Yeah, and it's, when you talk about, in a lot of cases, whether it should be auto attack or poke misfortune, the question that I use to simplify it for my little tiny pea brain as a play-by-play caster is, well, who are you going to auto if you build crit? I don't see anyone you want to be an auto attack range
Definitely
of
not.
if you are Loki on the opposite side. Like, yeah, you can argue, well, Laspa invalidates you by just using that grand challenge to block out your damage, but be blocking out the auto attack damage too. At least this way you can still get some solid damage down onto the other members with that further range coming through that you have on your Make It Rain, on your Bullet Time. The one thing that definitely does scare me about this Clover draft for VGA, right, is you do have one point-and-click CC coming through now. They made the adjustment we wanted from them, have VGA. They've picked up a Nautilus for Hawkster, who has that depth charge to follow Uner wherever they go. That's really about it. You still don't have, like, super reliable ways of punishing Zeri's mispositioning. And in the later game, that could definitely lead to your downfall. But lots of scaling options, very solid coming through from VGA. Definitely like this a whole lot better. Walk me through where you think the action's going to be early, because I think it's going to be all bot lane here.
I would agree so as well. I mean, Uner and Renata can make plays with the help of Xin Zhao at the same time, but Captor should be looking towards the spot side permanently, right? You have a Nautilus, some of the easiest CC to land, especially against 2 weak laners, and Renata is one of the most immobile champions in the game, right? So just focus this Renata, put her in the dirt, which also puts Zeri in the dirt in turn. And, I mean, this Lilia sure doesn't have super great early game ganks, right? But with the help of a Nautilus, you can make anything a great ganker.
Yeah, definitely so. Definitely so. We did see Captor play way more effective in the early game than I would have anticipated on the Lilia as well. Seems to understand the spacing and when you need to use Flash to extend the range to get a sleep down and all that very well. So it's definitely going to be an exciting look here in game 2. VGA, despite maybe what was a little bit of a question mark from us on why you electing red side the second time through, I think made improvements in this draft that will be interesting to see how they work out, and see how they work out we will on the other side of a short break here. So stay tuned, maybe hit the bathroom, get your snacks, get ready, because we have game number 2 of the semifinals coming up right after this. We'll see you in a moment. All right, everyone, here we are onto the Rift. It's game number 2 of this best of 5 semifinals between Clover and Virtue Gaming Ambition. And we have seen some key adjustments in the draft coming through for VGA. We'll see if it results in a better end state for this game for them, see if they can tie this one up at 1 apiece, or if it will be Clover moving on to match point. I'm Infinite Dodge, filling in, joined once again by the good old Salt Spreader. Salt, anything you notice right off the bat here that you want to call attention to?
Well, there is a little bit of a standoff here on the bot side from CR. Clover looking for a little bit of something, maybe to get that ward against the Nautilus, which is always pretty good to have. Also, one thing to note, Tournament Draft has now disabled the April Fool's, little tidbits that we had fun with in the earlier game. So it feels a little bad. So no big duck, no emotes with random creatures from the Rift, and no giga big top laners anymore.
Oh, boo. That is definitely unfortunate. But what is fortunate is we still have some very high quality League of Legends here to watch, which is what we all came for in the beginning. So it's not too bad. And interestingly enough here, Salt, they made that giant 4-man stack down to the bot side.
And not even
try
ward.
and get the deep vision. They didn't ward. So Loki, Dosi, and Hawkster, can do whatever they please down here. They can sit and wait for this Renata to show herself and just absolutely rock
Say
her
bye-bye.
world. Yeah,
Oh,
look at this. Here they come.
No cleanse on this area. They're looking for it. They got
There
it.
it is. It connects. Glacial Augment comes out. Loki Dosi gets some damage down. Uner trying to return fire, though. Already used that actual auto attack that does have the AP execute damage. And that is a one trade, I would say, for Hawkster and Loki.
I say it's a pretty decent trade, but they find another hook again.
Look at that, but in the mid lane, Japania and Young, it's level 2 already for the Ahri, found the early push, going to force Japania back, but not force the flash at the very least, so there is that.
It's actually a relatively even trade. They're actually winning for Clover because look at the resources burn. That's 2 potions for the MF taken off the table. 1 for the Nautilus, 1 for the Renata, and 1 for the Zeri. So again, potion value, not a single summoner burned as well. So pretty big potions burned away, especially in this early game here. Renata does have some pretty decent poke with that little E there. Does some decent damage as well. But Captor looking for the early gank here onto Young. Will they be able to make it happen? Don't really think so.
Yeah, I think that was more of a, hey, I'm here, so you can't just keep pre-shoving, but we see another hook. Hawkster's so good with them, but the handshake to get Loki away, offer that CC.
That was anti-synergy.
Yeah, and...
oh, big invade though from last buff.
Yeah, look at this. The red buff for both of these players will result in a lot of interesting stuff going down. The Dark Harvest will be proc, but Lastbow was stacking that Conqueror. It's Hawkster flash queuing! Oh my goodness, to make it rain, the Ignite won't be quite enough, and now Hawkster caught out and cut down. It's the first blood for the Zeri. It's disaster. It's the exact opposite of what you want, as Uner here has that passive auto attack stacked all the way up, so it has to be the flash from Captor away. That was such a tragedy coming through for VGA.
And, oh, VGA, it looked good for a second there, almost gets the Zins out, but the Smite plus Triumph keeps them alive just barely. And Japania, though, taking a really bad trade here, Electrocute down.
Yeah, look at this. Could it be the solo kill? Young using that orb just to...
Oh!
That was interruption of the...
No, that flash was just so... that was the most troll flash I've ever seen. I think they were trying to flash over the wall, but failed.
Oh.
Oh, no.
I mean, it wasn't a straight line flash,
no, it wasn't,
right? No way.
There's no way. I think it was they were trying to flash over the wall, but they mispositioned their mouse just barely, and it forced them straight, or forced them slightly down. Oh no! Oh no! That's like that disaster we saw in pro play.
Yeah, that's.
Have you seen that flash? That was.
Was that G2 Vitality earlier today?
No. That was 100 Thieves and Dignitas, I believe.
I would love to talk more about LCS, but unfortunately we do have number 2 actually managing to live, but it's a 2-level advantage for Min. At least the pullback was on cooldown, but now it's back up and Captor will fall. Oh, this has gone absolutely hardly for VGA early. It's the 4th kill picked up for Clover. They are absolutely running this early game up 2K now, and that sort of feels like all she
that's
wrote
horror.
already.
It's a horror. That was not supposed to happen. VGA, they're supposed to play towards bot side, and now Captor just inting top lane, giving Min a free kill. You're a flash to Lilia, 2 levels down, and you don't have stacks on your move speed, so you just get pulled back into the minions, taken down, and every advantage that's possible is there for Clover. Jungle advantage, top advantage, mid advantage, bot lane advantage. Clover just running this game so easily here. Game number 2, looking a lot cleaner.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the people at home, oh, no, Chapania, are you going to get charmed again? I mean, no flash available. We know how this ends. Young has the 6. I mean, there's nothing to be done. The shielding, the movement speed steroid actually might be enough. Yeah, the flash is going to have to come out. The W as well. The last auto attack does seal it. So it costs a little bit more from Young. Does have to commit the flash, but in the end, Japania never going to get away from that one, as now it's level 6 for Min. Before I can even make any points, going to take the showstopper back, as Hawkster going to get bullied back as well. But gonna put my analyst hat on here for a second, Salt, and maybe you can correct me if my takes are wrong on this. But I feel like Loki and Hawkster trolling a little bit. 1, the Glacial Augment Nautilus does not feel good here. And 2, Cleanse in this lane. What do you need to cleanse pre-6? I mean, I get the charm in the late game, but other than that, what else are you cleansing besides
not really
the
cleansing
hostile
anything.
takeover and the charm? I feel like a combat summoner could have turned some of those early trades into winning ones, but speaking of winning trades, number 2 Ginger picking it up.
That's just a solo bolo up at the top side. Ginger finding it when Min stayed a little bit too long. You gotta be careful. That's an Ornn. Still has base damage. Can win the lane here. And yeah, Loki Dosi with that cleanse, it doesn't really do all that much. It's literally only useful at level 6, and you're not even an auto attacker, so it's not super scary in the first place. But Hawkster almost being able to find a play there, gonna be caught out here. Potentially, Uner might be overextending.
Yeah, no, that was maybe a bit of, I'm not trapped here with you, you're trapped here with me, but he gets the reset off the bailout, are you kidding?
Oh no, the mic peaks a little bit, but
Tries to find the damage back. Oh, balanced champion, Salt, so balanced.
Yes, Renata. That is a fun champion, guys. Really, really fun to deal with there. They get the pick onto Uner, but it doesn't matter because, haha, I'm back! And I have gray health for in my entire health bar, and then I get a reset, and that allows Uner to live for just a little bit longer, buys time for the Xin Zhao and the Ahri to show up, and they just turn that play around.
Yeah, that is disgusting coming through. That is the 2 most recent champions down there in the bot lane. But look at this really, really long roam coming through. We have double plays going through in both solo lanes. It will be the top laner cut down here by Captor. Does pick that one up, but it's Chapania traded for it. At least does go 1 for 1. So VGA creating a little bit more of that chaos that they were looking for last game to keep things equal, but still at a handily disadvantaged state.
Definitely, but I really like the buy from number 2 Ginger. That Warden's Mail does so much to deal with Set's damage, but look at Uner. Because of Hawkster rotating topside, this MF is losing so much, and she is the one that needs to be pushed through. She is really, really strong in this early game, but not allowed to do so because of the pressure that Captor's applying around the map apart from bot lane. They had that one failed bot lane play, and now they decided, yeah, bot lane's doomed. Let's not do this again. Let's try and rotate around the map, and they do find that play up on the top side. Make it happen there, but Chapania fan just getting bullied over and over. Sure, the Xin Zhao died in that exchange, but the wave, the XP lost, was just so much. It's probably a level and a half lead here for the Ahri, or something along those lines here. Not looking too hot there for this Orianna.
Yeah, and if we look at the CS advantages that have been accrued as well off the back of those bot lane roams coming through, I mean, Loki Dosi just has no chance of keeping up. It's 74 to 48, as now the first Drake of the game picked up as well for the side of Clover. That is a Cloud Drake, which is only a good sign because it means it can't be a Cloud Soul coming through, Salt.
Cannot be a Cloud Soul. That's a boring one. It can be Hextech, Infernal, or Mountain. So there's 2 fun souls and 1 not so fun soul, but a guaranteed win soul. Mountain Soul is so unbelievably broken because it gives you so much safety. That shield is so strong against the MF, so strong against the Orianna. Super hard to deal with, but at the same time, Hextech, so hard to play against, so hard to run away. Infernal, just more damage, always fun. You know, big numbers, woo. That's basically what you want Infernal Soul for. But, I mean, the Dragon lead in favor of Clover, they were able to grab that one up very, very early compared to last time. I mean, they got it at, what, 11-ish minutes? Game number 1 for first Dragon. Game number 2, they grabbed that up early, and the Xin Zhao with this prio that he does have in both solo lanes, looking for the play. Chapania fan!
Yeah, charmed up again. Does have the flashback, doesn't have to use it, so gets to keep that cooldown. But they're just going to be looking to bully Chapania over and over again as we see the second objective of the game picked up for Clover. They get that Rift Herald. They have so many options where to use that. Can crack open that tier 1 turret in the bot lane pretty easily with the plates that have already been taken. Yeah, Chapani at least shields up again, holds on to the flash, very brave, as Young did use the first couple procs of that Spirit Rush as well, so that will be going on to cooldown shortly. I thought so, at least. The indicator did show up. There it goes. Ticks on over, as that's going to be a little bit of a win, a small one for Chapania. Doesn't have to use the Shockwave or the Flash, so it does get a cooldown advantage, as Men fails to pull back there. Ginger feeling a little bit more bold and brash in this matchup than last time around. Yeah, that bowling ball not connecting is going to be big, but look at Capper. Watch out, Eep into the queue. That is just the percent health damage, absolutely cutting through Min. Ulti not even necessary, so that's one answered back for VGA at the very least.
Oh, no!
He misses the Q, and look at the damage that comes out from Yuner now. It's going to be the hostile takeover, creating so much CC, so many opportunities. It's the double kill coming through for Zeri. And this was the only thing last game, Salt, that we said gave VGA a chance, was that Zeri didn't get ahead early, but now Yuner's 4-1.
Oh, the 4-1, Zeri looking really strong. Almost finished that Trinity Force as well. Things are looking on the up and up for Clover. Sure, their top side is not having the greatest showing in the world, but that doesn't really matter when the Zeri up 4 kills, the Ahri up 4 kills. They're just looking so strong this game that it doesn't even matter that their top side's not, you know, has a little tent set up there. And they are also going to be able to grab all 5 plates up at the top side. And Chapania fan can't even find the Shockwave in the mid lane.
Yeah, it's really disastrous coming
but the set does no damage. Oh my god.
I mean, Ginger at the very least is having a more fun time. Good for them. But yeah, it's interesting. It's like you say, it's been all the story of VGA in the top side, but they weren't even able to convert on the Rift Herald with that top lane priority, with that winning matchup. It's still, you know, the side of Laspa who's getting all over the map and picking up everything Clover needs. So it's really looking rough for VGA. Going to have to try and find some sort of big advantage play very soon. As Young is spotted on that pink, but look at that Hex Splash, Hawkster. Going to get that auto attack down to proc the Glacial. Now the slow, off the E. Min charging up that Haymaker. Trying to look for the damage, but just kind of gonna let the set walk away because they know where the Ahri is. They know they can't overcommit. They don't want to get punished, so not really too much gain there from a very long roam from the side of Hawkster.
Yuner can also look for things as well. They are rotating that lane upwards, and Chapania fan, I think that's
it was trying to play around the minion block.
Mind. Not Charm.
Yeah, keeps the flash, keeps the command distance there to get some movement speed steroids, but now finally it could be Ginger getting a taste of their own medicine as Yuner just absolutely cuts through them, goes on the killing spree. Now Clover with the Rift Herald in the mid lane getting even more plate gold from themselves. Limit Tester forced to flash the depth charge onto him, but now the Charm coming back, and look at that grand challenge, blocking out so much damage from the Misfortune, and it's really a series of nothing burgers eaten up there by VGA. They are still very hungry, found nothing at all off those blades.
Those are, yeah, but a lot of high cooldown ultimates were burned. The Renata ultimate down, the MF ultimate down, Nautilus ultimate down for this next fight. They have to rotate the Ornn as fast as possible for this next dragon, but no, they're TPing him up. Yuner just getting so many users. That's another 3 plates in Yuner's back pocket. Also, 5-1, having the time of his life. But they aren't going to use that lilting lullaby just yet there onto Limit Tester Alaspa. Going to back away, Dragon up in 17 though. And again, key cooldowns are down. Zeri ultimate should be up in the next 30 seconds here. So if they can stall a little bit, they will have that going for themselves as well. But, I mean, it should be Clover's Dragon, but again, Vision in favor of VGA for the next little bit here. They have some wards in the river. They're looking to catch out Min. They might find it, but Chapania, they get so much damage.
Well, that is just so unfortunate. Chapania taken out. It will be the 1-for-1, but the Shockwave not even used there, so that's your big team fighting ultimate you still have left available for this dragon. Now gone, as Hawkster is also going to fall. There's just nothing Captor can do about it in that situation. Oh, it's so tragic, because this should be the open season on the Ocean Drake. And if I could just ask production to tick on over to the individual goal for a second, I want to see just how fed this Zeri is getting. As we take a look,
there it is.
Goodness, 8K for Yuner. I mean, this is like
Oh
disaster scenario number 1 for VGA.
Yeah, Loki Dosi, 4.5k gold, only 300 above Limit Tester, who again is also a support. Things are looking really rough. Uner, 8.2, so far ahead of every single member of VGA. Things are looking really rough here, but Uner, no mana.
Yeah, number 2 Ginger, though, just sort of getting kited out. Look at the movement speed procs off of that Trinity Force, off of that second Hearthbound Axe as well, can allow Uner to just kite so easily. But Chapani fan, once again caught out, finally gets a use down for that Shockwave, but the Wind Becomes Lightning does take that over. Is now Captor going to be Showstop back. The Haymaker, little left available for Min. Will pick up another one. Maybe Loki Dosi can do something, but no Limit Tester here to back up the play. It's a massacre. It's an absolute stomp coming through as Hawkster now in the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe can answer one back. It doesn't have the Ignite, so it just doesn't have the damage. Not going to be tanky either. It's just run through so quickly by Uner, up to 6 kills on this Zeri. I mean, I'm running out of superlatives for how Uner is piloting it this game. It's just absolutely massive for the side of Clover.
I mean, might as well call Uner Lightning McQueen popping off here in this game on, again, the Zeri. Just ban it, please, or pick Nasus. One of the two. One of the two. But, I mean, Loki Dosi just not having a good one here. Min can actually look for the dive here, has the flash available, but, I mean, it's not really worth going for at this point. They are going to try and grab up this red buff from Captor. Again, these invades coming through. They do have Smite on this. Oh, Lilting Lullaby.
Yeah, the Wilting Lullaby does find the sleep. Now the watch out, even the true damage is so huge, and that Berserk means absolutely nothing to Captor, who finds the double kill, a little bit of an answer back. That is exactly what you need if your VGA opens up an angle onto the second Rift Herald as well, with Lashla all the way down in the bottom side of the map. Not going to be able to respond very quickly at all, so they can get right back onto that. And look at Hawkster trying to zone away Min as well. So that will be an objective finally locked up here for VGA. Their first, you have to feel, but oh! That's tragic. That's just
a tragedy. That's a tragedy, though, but they do get Shirley, and that also means they are able to grab themselves up an objective bounty. So, you know, not the worst. Oh, is this Shelly?
Definitely so, as production maybe reminding us not to mix up the sisters here. I think that was the first Herald taken over, although I seem to remember the first Herald already being taken.
Oh, 500.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right. Okay.
Being reminded that that is an objective bounty on top of that as well as the shutdowns being taken by Captor. So lots of golden fusion back for VGA, cutting this gold lead quite a bit. Salt by
about
what, 2,000-3,000 down to only 5?
Yeah. I mean, it's still a big gold lead in Clover's favor. They're still in a really solid position, but I mean, good pickup, though, from Captor. The Shining Light here from VGA. Popped off game number 1. Looking to do so again in game number 2. But will it be enough, though, when this area is actually so far ahead? This MF not really shining here all that much. The Battle's Bunny skin not doing enough. Min might be looking for the play here.
Yeah, it is the much larger, thicker health bar for number 2 Ginger, so not afraid to trade there, but oh, Captor, you might be fast with those prancing hooves, but you're not fast enough as Uner just running you down and bursting you out. That is absolutely titanic coming through from Uner. With the double movement speed steroid items, just able to run down one of the fastest champions on the Rift. But now look at Min maybe caught out, but in the side lane, there's even more fighting yet to be had. Oh, look at that, the Unstoppable, so good to just shepherd Min to their own demise, perhaps, with the Haymaker going to do lots of true damage as it does land the sweet spot in that center. So it's a whole lot of blustering, it's a whole lot of positioning and chest puffing, but yeah, blundering along with the blustering, as nothing is really picked up in that top lane for all the cooldowns that were used.
It looked fun, you know, it was a cool fight, great mechanics from Ginger to, you know, block a lot of that damage from that showstopper, because, you know, you don't follow it all the way through, don't take all that much damage if you are unstoppable. But I mean, even if he does that, and that's in a team fight, though, Ginger's body will still do just as much damage to the rest of the team. It's the impact from Set that does the damage, not the impact of the Ornn. So, yeah, always something to worry about here, but it was just a pretty fun fight up in the top side. But again, Captor...
Ooh, Maxis's stretch line! That actually forces out double ultimates, and they also have the opportunity to get the Herald out, so VGA finding something to knock him as well
Oh!
from Ginger. The brittle proc onto Limit Tester. You have no mobility on this Renata Glass. Going to have to use the handshake just to try and knock him away. And now look at the side of Young, just completely caught out in the midst of the fight. But now Set is here to back it up. Got enough poke down to set up the plays. So that will be the turnaround. Just when you thought maybe VGA had something brewing, it's Clover who seemed to be all but unstoppable in this game. It's Ginger left to run like heck. How fast can this Ram go? Not very fast at all when you're charmed up and locked down, and the ace is completed by Uner, and that will result in so much falling across this map. The tier 2, the obvious target, with the Soul Point Infernal Drake ready, willing, and able to be taken by Laspa.
Laspa gonna grab that one up, and they're looking to grab some towers for Uner as well. Just so much gold injected into this area. This Ari also looking really, really strong too. Gore Drinker finished up on the Xin Zhao as well. Things are looking really strong for Clover. They're having a really great time, and VGA just not able to find the advantages, even though I think their draft is a lot better here. They just did not execute on it. They needed to play towards the bot side, make sure they didn't give up too much in the early game. Just wait till they have their ultimates. That's when they spike really hard. Nautilus ultimate, point and click. MF ultimate does so much damage in such a wide AoE, so they needed to wait for those spikes, but they kept trying to fight early. MF's great at poke, but once the trade becomes extended, that's when her DPS falls off. And it was all because of that early game well played coming in from Uner and Limit Tester. Laspa also making some big ganks, but Min might be caught out here.
Yeah, at the very least, they might be able to find one that is something. We'll see how much the Showstopper Haymaker combo can do, as Min had it charged all the way up, but didn't let it go through until it was much more paltry, so that is at least a shutdown for your Ornn. Soon to be reaching that level 13 mark, will pick up his own ornament, and maybe you can sort of, go Prage mode on, we scale, guys, we have Ornn, we got late game, but it really does feel like Clover's game to lose in every way right now.
That is pretty copium, but I mean, it's hopium that they got that shutdown onto the Ornn, the Giga Scaler on the side of VGA. That's the most they can really hope for at this point. You know, just a little bit of hope, something Hawkeye didn't have in endgame. But
no.
they are good.
I see the reference being made as Hawkster now going to be the one with very little hope on this Glacial Augment Nautilus. Basically,
it scales better, guys.
He's going to have to sacrifice his entire self every time they want to initiate, as we've seen all through this game, because without the Aftershock, you're just not tanky on Nautilus.
Oh, no!
Looking for the sacrifice, speaking of, is that Dredge Line doesn't connect, and you're just going to get CC layered to death. I mean, that was at least the Shockwave into the bullet time, but that doesn't really mean anything. Look at Young, look at Last, but they have so much sustain, so much mobility, so much ability to get back into the back line, find the triple kill for the Foxfire, for this Ari, for the quadra kill, for the Penta even coming through, and that should just seal the game, as well as Clover absolutely styling now.
And they're just going to look to push to end the game. They have a wave here. They have a Zeri. They can just take these towers so incredibly fast. They also have a set. So this game is over right here, right now. Clover have every little bit of the game in their back pocket. VJ have to try and look for something. Go, Hawkster, go! Don't be like Hawkeye. Have some hope. But I don't think it's enough. As the game just ends.
That was a stomp in game number 2, as Clover pick up the easy match point victory there. And yeah, I mean, there's not too much to say, right? They were so far ahead. They find one team fight. They absolutely sprint through it, and then the base is just easy pickings. I mean, that's a real demoralizing one if you're VGA or one of their supporters here. What do you even change going into game 3?
I mean, I think their draft looked really good. They had that rolling for them. It's just, yes, MF is strong early. She's really strong in lane because of her poke potential. She's not really all that good at extended trading, where Zeri actually starts to pop off. And Renata also, again, heavy shielding for both her teammates and herself. So extended trades always in favor of Clover, even if they aren't strong in the early game. Virtue, unfortunately, did not recognize where they were strong and tried to fight against that win con.
Definitely a tragedy coming through for them in game number 2. Maybe we'll see a switch up of the side selection or something else that might spell a little bit more hope for VGA. If they do it, it will have to be the reverse sweep angle to finals. One of the most exciting ones there is, if it can come true. But we'll have to wait until the other side of short break to see if they can realize that dream. We will be back in just a moment with a game number 2 breakdown right into game number 3 draft.
Okay, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. I would sing the Halo theme song, but I'm gonna spare you that. The cats dying is what more I'd sound like. So Salt looking absolutely just amazingly done. Right? Looking like a true soldier, as we just saw as well from Clover, who soldiered on in that second game. Now this time around, Infinite, I feel like it was definitely a lot more of a
All
close and
right.
shut case this time around in comparison to game one. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to analyze, right? Virtue just kind of got smacked. Oh, he said he was going to spare us, and then he
Ah,
I did it. I
does
did
it.
it. I had to
April
sneak it in.
Fools.
I had to
Got
sneak
him.
it in.
Well, yeah, no, Virtue Gaming, they just got smacked across the board.
Yeah.
I thought they made some interesting choices in how they traded around the level 1, level 2 mark in the bot lane. You go for this lane dominant pushing lane, you get an early cheese hook. But the cleanse on Misfortune, I feel like was sort of a waste. You could have gone
Mm,
double combat summoners. The exhaust would have put in work onto the Zeri. Glacial Augment on Nautilus, I do not like. There's a lot of these hard CC supports that really benefit from Glacial because they have other tools to keep themselves alive. Leona has the W flat damage reduction, right? But you can't do it on Nautilus because your base stats are not good. You don't have natural tank stats. So you go the Glacial and you're basically sacrificing yourself completely every time you land a hook because you just get cut through like tissue paper. And Salt hammered this point home a lot in that they had great short trades, right? You want to queue in with Nautilus, and if you take the aftershock, you queue in, you proc your aftershock, you walk away, they can't really get return damage, you drop and make it rain, you hit the comet, and then you wait for cooldowns to run it again.
Exactly.
Instead, they tried to run extended trades over and over again. Even early game, before she scales up, Zeri really loves those extended trades, gets to stack the lethal tempo, just gets a free hit over and over and over again. It was just really a misidentification of the win condition for Virtue, and kind of fumbled the bag.
A little bit. And the strength of Virtue's comp came from their ultimates, right? Orn Horn, all that stuff. MF ultimate, bullet time pops off. The depth charge also does its mad work. And Lilting Lullaby, really insane. They had so many great team fighting ultimates. The only decent laner who doesn't really rely too much on their ultimate is the Orianna. She has great range, great wave clear, doesn't really have to rely on that ultimate all too much. Great setup though. But for the most part, every other member reliant on having that big key cooldown, and fighting before that was not really the great option unless you had them on your side of the map where they have to kite back. In which case, I mean, Zeri's still good at that. But Set did win the lane up until, he got permacamped by like 3 members. My bad. Sorry for breathing if you're Min. But, feels pretty bad to just get the 3-man constantly. Hawkster gave up on that ball lane instantly as soon as that failed gank attempt happened. As soon as that invade happened, he was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done. The only source of hope is going to be that Ornn up at the top side. He's the best scaler we got.
Yeah, he got hit with the solo Q. Never show yourself on my lane ever again. But we're going to have to see if VGA can find a way around this. As, ladies and gentlemen, we're going into draft for game number 3. Infinite, take it away.
Will do. Thank you once again, Echo, for throwing it on off. We are here for potentially our last game of the night. Clover on match point. VGA, they're going to have to really upgrade themselves. Maybe stop looking like VGA, start looking like HDMI if they want to take it home here tonight and find that reverse sweep angle. And they're on the red side again because I do believe the way side selection works is as the higher seed, Clover automatically has it in game 3. So you missed your chance to mix things up with the blue side in game number 1. And now you have to ban Zeri and they just get the first pick, Jinx.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, Nasus is open, guys. You picked. I mean, Nasus is still pretty solid at the Jinx, If you want to go the MF route, no shot you're picking Ashe here, by the way. That's not real.
Not R1 Ashe is not a little troll.
We've seen this before, and it got clapped last time. It's going to get clapped again.
Oh, my goodness gracious. That's, yeah, that's the Ashe locked in.
That's a pick.
Okay, so, I mean, VGA playing for topside have to be right as we see Captor.
Yep.
Once again, defaulting to Lilia. They pick up the utility 80 carry for themselves. What kind of picks do you want to see Ginger play around? Because we've only seen the Ornn so far, and while it can be dominant, no, don't do it to him. Clover, you don't got to do it to him like that. They do lock it in, and they say, we'll take the Renata Glask again as well.
I mean, it worked last time, it's going to work again. The Ashe, again, doesn't really trade all that well up against a Jinx. I mean, unless you can space properly, but still, the Jinx can get that lethal tempo stack, can get those rockets rolling. And what is going to be the answer as that support coming in from VGA? I don't know what it is going to be, but I mean, I think the Renata did do its work in game number 1 or game number 2, sorry. And the Ornn having that front line here feels really solid. Karma, I guess they're going poke lane here against Clover and hoping to win lane again. We'll see how it works though. They didn't win it last time and they were supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, you could see it from the poke angle. You could see it as like safe utility, right? Double utility bot lane. You have an enchanter. You have a utility AD carry. Lots of CC available. Speeding up the whole team. Putting the shields down. We'll see how it does go. I mean, at this point, I'm not too excited for VGA. Excuse me, and how they are lined up going into game number 3 here. They don't really have any damage threats yet, so they don't really have
No.
a carry, and you can't win League of Legends with a 0 damage draft, usually. I guess there are always exceptions, of course. Some of the bans they're taking away, though, I think are smart. Don't want to see Lashba on that Nidalee again, that's for sure. And the Sylas, when you have ultimates like the Ashe Arrow, which are so impactful, or if you want to draft yourself big carries through the mid and top lane, it's usually going to be through the strength of their level 6s, right? So definitely don't want to leave that Sylas available for Young to steal those right back away. And now Vex taken off the board. Final ban coming through from Clover. They're thinking about it. Going to be that Gwen. So Ginger just really getting targeted here with the Ornn picked away. We'll have to see what the solution is. It's Karma solo lane. So
it's Karma mid or Karma top, man.
they
All
still
right.
have no damage. Salt.
Wait, Braum, great into Renata though. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good pickup there.
Throw out that shield. Yeah. That being said, you know, you have all of this peel, all of this utility. Who is going to be taking advantage of it? They're saying they're saving the counter pick for one of their solo lanes, most likely Chapanya, as it has been for the past couple games. As this time around, Clover get the Jace back through. Gonna be a Jace mid angle, you'd have to think, right? Or an Ornn jungle?
It could be the Ornn jungle. I mean, we did see it last night. It's definitely okay here. It clears healthily. It also has, you know, pretty great damage and great dueling potential here. And, I mean, this is a flex, right? It could be this Echo in the jungle as well, right? So, overall, Clover have a really solid
top
draft.
side is flexed.
It's
Except
all
for
flex.
Jace can't go into jungle, but...
Yeah, but Ornn can go mid, Ornn can go top, Ornn can go jungle. Echo can go mid, and into a good matchup, Echo can go top as well, right? Echo can also go jungle. So, two of the champs have 3-way flexes, the other has a 2-way. But the Yone going to be locked in here for VGA as their last champion here. Who are they going to put on the Karma? It's going to be Ginger. Are they putting him on the boring tank enchanter duty? Or are they going to give it over? Are they going to give that Yone up in the top side and look for big plays? I don't know. We'll see, though.
I mean, it's a fine angle, I guess. I said they need damage. They need a big carry. There's the damage. You know, that certainly fits that bill. I'm disappointed with VGA for a couple of reasons. One of which is MXL, our producer, was so sure. He had pointed this out to us between break, and it was a brilliant take, that we were going to be seeing Vayne in game number 3 from VGA, because we've seen Battle Bunny, Misfortune, and Battle Cat Jinx. So we were like, oh, well, who else got an Anima Squad skin? Vayne did. But the VGA, they subverted the pattern. What the heck? If you guys are going to get smacked up in semis, you might as well have fun with it. Play the new skins, flex a little bit.
Do it in style.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, a lot is riding on this Yone. It can't be a typical solo queue 0-10 power spike Yone here, so.
And there's a lot of ways to deal with him, though. Yone, despite being the champion that he is, he has some weaknesses in lane. Champions who can engage onto him, like that Ornn, like the Echo, like the Jace, who can force a fight, right? Aurelia also really solid at that, too. But from the draft that Clover's made for themselves, Jace can force an issue. Echo can force an issue, and so can Ornn, and that's how you deal with that Yone, for the most part, while he's at his weakest. But, I mean, he can still get through lane phase as long as he optimizes his runes for that early game to just survive. That's the objective there when you are playing that Yone. Survive, you know, Halo reach, end of the game there. That's your objective. No spoilers there. We'll see if the same thing happens for him. If the same thing happens to Ginger, or I don't know, whoever is going to be that Yone, right?
Yeah, if you know about Halo Reach, that's a good one. So we'll have to see what Yone can do. This Echo pick is pretty exciting. We didn't really touch on all the possibilities for this so much. Maybe a bit of a shout out to our host tonight. We got Echo with us, and we now have it confirmed how these flexes unraveled. It will be Echo going through into the jungle for Laspa. It'll be the Jace mid and Min up on Ornn in the top lane. So, yeah, tell me how you expect this Echo to sort of function into that early game jungle matchup with Captor here, Salt.
I mean, Echo has a lot stronger ganks compared to the Captor. Can look to grab those early Dark Harvest decks, especially into the shoving bot lane that VGA have drafted for themselves. Ashe does have better wave clear, can push the wave a lot more easily. But Hawkster, on the other hand, on that Braum, not really the strongest lane support, scales really, really well. And, I mean, can make things happen, but the Jace in the mid lane, very susceptible to getting punished by this Karma. As long as she gets that W off, it's an easy gank for Captor, can look to make things happen there. So Young, gonna have to play really safe, play positioning perfectly. And, just deal with the poke. Karma, yes, Jace is a strong laner, but Karma is one of the most obnoxious champions to deal with, be it in solo lane or support, or even in the APC role, right? But Ornn just gonna have a great time, build the Warden's Mail, build a Bramble, and Ornn will just roll a Yone every day of the
Yeah,
week.
this is going to be an interesting matchup in that top lane for sure, and it's what everything seems to hinge on for VGA. It will be a tense one up there. We'll have to keep our eyes on that top lane as we do get into Game 3, but that will, of course, be on the other side of a short break. So we will return momentarily for the what could be the deciding match here. I mean, it's match point for Clover. They could finish the sweep here, or we could see the beginning of an amazing comeback angle for VGA. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll be back in a minute. All right, backs against the wall here in game number 3. It's Infinite Dodge and Salt back on the call. We see VGA coming on out of their base, hopefully looking to make something happen, get themselves an early advantage that they've failed to find
It's
so far.
Junior.
Yeah, forced to flash immediately. We take those. We take those.
Yeah. Hey, that's an early game advantage. They did not lose the early game level 1. Let's go. VJ
You know
already
what?
popping off.
You know what, Sol? We talked about how this comp for VGA outside of Yone has no damage, but at the very least, Ash Braum is an obnoxious bot lane.
Oh, that is so annoying. I agree completely. I like the cleanse there from Junior. Really, really nice to deal with that arrow and the Braum stuns too in lane. By the time you have it up again, it will be at level 6, so if they do get caught in a bad situation, just cleanse. It's fine. You don't even have flash anyways, but look at that vision, though. They get it on the red buff, so they know where Captor's starting, and it is going to be VGA starting visionless. They have no clue where anything is going to be, but, I mean, Echo does want to start with that red buff. Lilia does clear better, but Echo's ganks pre-6 are a lot better.
Yeah, and we do see it's not VGA pulling any fast ones here. It's going to be the lanes as drafted. It's Yone up into Ornn, and it's going to be Karma into Jace, so going to be very curious to see once a Warden's Mail comes through for Min if Ginger will have any efficacy in this lane. Min knows the level 1 can still very much go Ginger's way with that lethal tempo, start proccing up those knockups very fast, so not going to taunt the bull early, but we do see some poke onto Trapania fan, who has not had a good time this series, especially after Young picked up a pentakill last game, got absolutely rolled on the Orianna into Ahri matchup. Maybe this one will prove a little bit better with the traditional Karma. A very swag skin, big fan. But as of right now, we're just waiting for that shoe to drop that we've seen come through, right? It's oftentimes been BGA's aggression, over-aggression being punished, and now we have level 2 for the bot lane of Clover first.
Yep, and Handshake gonna go wide, but that doesn't really matter. Ornn on the top side, just gonna be chilling here, a little bit down. Level 1 just because that's what happens against the Yone, but once you pick up those items, that's when you really start dealing with him pretty well. But Hawkster has that level 2.
Yeah, it does find the Winter's Bite, but now the handshake back. The Glacial Augment actually pretty good there for Renato. Now the cleanse already burned the Ignite down onto both ends, but the Echo here to back up the play. They will get the first blood, will VGA, but they will pay 2 lives for it. And it was the Braum who picked up the first blood as well, which is just not what you want, Salt.
No, that is the worst thing that could have happened there. Braum picking first blood and the Echo getting the double. That's the assassin. That's the one who's going to be one-tapping this Yone, one-tapping the Karma and the Ashe. So already things are off to a rough start, though, but Captor already looking for an invade with the Yone early game pressure, because the Yone is going to be strong up until, you know, Ornn actually completes his items, so they are going to grab the blue buff, but Echo can't really look for all that much. Is going to be down in farm. Gromp, though, is still available for Captor to take, but will they go for it? That's the main question here. But Young, Hawkster, level 2 rotation here. They're looking for Young.
They have the passive down, force the flash off the back of that Manfred W coming through from Trapani, but here's Lespa. Don't think they're, or Laspa rather, but don't think they're going to look for much of anything there. Would have been a bit of a death warrant. But something I want to get back to here, Salt, which I find funny in a tragic sort of way, although we do have some more trading, although I don't see how this could ever be a kill angle here. Just going to be some more sort of posturing and blustering and chest puffing from both of these teams. But something I want to touch on, Salt, I can't believe the amount of times we've had to say this series, wow, this is as bad as this could have gone for VGA.
Yeah. I mean, they grabbed that kill up, but it's still on the Braum. That is not the ideal situation that you want to be putting yourself in. again, the support, I guess support's the stronger role out of the two in the early game, but still, getting it on the Ashe, she can snowball pretty hard because it's so hard to outrun her, so hard to kite away because of that move speed slow that she does get from her auto attacks, but I mean, the Jinx does get 2 assists, so that's something. She did lose out on a little bit of XP. Yeah, you take that, I guess. But Echo being that strong point, that is super scary because, again, that's an early game Echo, but they're looking for Min. Already used the Unstoppable.
We used the sort of metaphor of looking through the top side hyper sort of focus from VGA, and it pays off dividends there as they do pick up the first kill on Yone. That's going to be very important for the snowball, but look at this, the cross map, the counterplay coming out, Uner running on down Loki, going to maybe find it with the last rocket. Yes, that is going to be another big swing back over to Clover. They find their match there, right? And this Jinx just going to scale into a damage roll so much better than the Ashe, who's really only there for the utility.
Yeah, the utility ADC up against the hyper carry when it's still a hyper carry meta. I don't know about that one. It's not ideal, but I guess it means they can leave bot lane alone very, very shortly. That's really what you need to do. Just abandon ship again, Hawkster. You gotta go. You gotta get out of there. Help out this Yone. He's your strong point. He's the way into this game, and that is what you need to be looking for. But Uner, looking for Hawkster.
Yeah, maybe something could be made here. Hawkster might be able to proc this stun and run on away. Has the hop back over to Loki, and now look at Captor here to back up the play. But the shield was so smurf as well as the bailout, but it won't be enough unless Lapsa can get in on this. No, but it still will be the team fight win despite the shutdown. You have to feel, no, actually, look at that. It's the multitude of kills coming through as Japanifan is here, but Uner can run on through. So that's the 1 for 3 for VGA on the back of an overextend. Off the end of that Drake take, Ginger 2 has the level 6 advantage. Maybe can find something up here.
Oh!
Will use that last breath! No! Can you do it? Oh, that was so sad, Min. I mean, this is just what we expected in this matchup, though. 1 cloth armor, and Min was able to take that trade home.
Yeah. And, I mean, Min, he only has tiered cloth armor, but the ultimate took the Yone right under the tower, and that one tower shot is what made the difference there. But Limit Tester looking for the player onto Japanifan, finds the handshake.
Yeah, no mana left for Japanifan. Maybe can get 1E out. Actually does get the W back around, but look at last, but always right around the bot lane when they are needed. It's such a tale of two sides in this map once again, but Loki Dosi has actually been the beneficiary of a lot of interesting plays going their way, right? Haven't been playing towards bot lane at all, have VGA.
15 CS.
Oh, look at that CS gap. I hadn't even noticed. Oh, that's
yeah,
a tragedy.
Loki Dosi's got some kills, but it's 15 CS. Yeah, thank you for the graph. Thank you. That is a 2.2 CS per minute counter there on Loki Dosi, not looking too hot. But Captor farming really, really well. That's what you want to be doing on the Lilia. Looking for those camps. You take them really well now. You already have that lost chapter. Things are looking pretty solid, but they might be looking for a play onto Limit Tester. Can't find the auto.
Yeah,
Level 6 though.
Yeah. Despite everything that's looked so good for CR as we this is just this isn't real. This is a bluff. Nobody's all inning there. But yeah, despite everything that's looked so good for CR, it is actually the slight gold lead here for VGA Salt as they get a root down onto Young. Going to find even more, but the bowling ball doesn't connect, so no lilting lullaby to come on through. Just the poke, a little bit of Dark Harvest damage, but yeah, it is VGA technically still in the lead here.
And I think that has to do with this Yone getting that plate, the Karma also farming up pretty well. And Yone, or not, sorry, Lilia looking really, really solid. Min, though, kind of low here, a little risky. No more pots available in the back pocket, but the minions doing a good bit of damage. Young, though, looking for the play onto Japanifan.
Yeah, but the Braum is here to back up the play that interference, run that sort of, healing style that makes Braum so powerful. A Captor going to get punished on the invade. It's the overextensions that have bit VGA over and over again in this series. And now, knowing that the Echo is topside, Ginger can't continue to press the advantage that he was accumulating onto Min, right? As now Japaniafan's the next target. Going to have to flash, does just sidestep the shock blast, almost walked right back into it. Would have been tragedy, but at least gets out with their life. But good punishes coming through from Clover, and now they're the ones who are up 1K.
Yeah. Oh, wait, you stayed! Why did you stay? Oh. Japanifan! No way! That's not real!
Man.
You were based, you were there, you had it! You greeted for the
Yeah.
wave.
I mean, I think it was. I'm not sure. I wasn't watching the map the whole time. I think it was just trying to back without paying due diligence with how far, as we see number 2 Ginger taking out that Fate Seal, trying to chase down Laspa, will force the rewind back into the pit, but look at the snap back. That is going to take you even further away, as now the call of forward shot going to be good to find the CC interruption. Laspa over the wall will try and run away as Hawkster comes in, trying to get the CC down as well, but Young going to gain that hammer down right on top, bang the gavel, but it's not enough. You will be shut down. That's a huge win for VGA to find that, as now they will be able to convert on the Rift Herald as well. Very nicely done for them, as, yeah, that was a bit ambitious coming through from Young.
I mean, it was all on Laspa, though. Just doing that Rift Herald there, that wasn't really a play. Both Braum and the Yone were out of vision. I mean, they could have just easily looked for that play. That was a very risky play to look for in the first place. I mean, it would have been a nice sneak if it was able to happen, but, I mean, I think they were sniffing it out there. Soul lanes just weren't acting well enough, you know, not winning any Oscars. Will Smith, unlucky. But all
Will
things
Smith did win the Oscar,
He
by
did
the
win
way.
the Oscar, that is true. He did win the Oscar, but did not win the Oscar for that slap there up there, unfortunately. All things considered, though, I mean, Chapanya fan, other than that one time, still looking okay. Man taking a lot of damage there. Still needs to finish that Warden's Mill. I think that item is really important here in this matchup. But Ginger can look for the play, has the flash, could look for the Q flash.
No wave left to let him move up without immediately taking aggro, however. Could maybe access another plate's worth of gold, however, as Captor. In the midst of it all once again, but so speedy and quick is the Lilia, as Laspa, no fear, going on forward, but the shield from the Braum going to block up that accelerated shot blast. Could open up the angle for this second Drake, though. The Hawk shot going to spot it out. Will VGA try and find any sort of contest? No, it just goes down far too quickly. Echo absolutely melts through these jungle objectives with the Fed Jinx free hitting it as well.
Loki.
DPS too good. Yeah, Loki just dodging that handshake.
Able to dodge away from that handshake, feels pretty good for themselves there, but I mean, still having a rough, you know, just a rough going of all things. Down 40 CS, not looking too hot, but the Lilia already rolling. Look at her, up to almost 20 CS against this Echo. Sure, she's down a couple kills, but she's had a lot of KP. They find the arrow.
Yeah, but look at this. Hawkster's been roaming so much. Still level 4 on this Braum. And this time, the Renata ultimate finds so much more value when you're going this on-hit auto-attack type of style for Loki. So much damage returned. That's a great lilting lullaby, though, to maybe at least let Ashe get out. But no, it's still the flash for Yuner to run it down to find the shutdown. Hawkster, you are just never getting away here, buddy. Where are you running? Right into a double kills where you're going, as VGA getting wiped around that bot side. Ginger tried to answer back, but not going to find it even with the ultimate there.
Good flash there from the Ornn, respecting the Yone damage at this point in time. Still strong. Again, needs to build more for lane here. He's not really looking to team fight at this point. Needs to keep the Yone in his place, but I mean, they're doing as best they can. The Yone's going to get this for third play very easily if, you know, he doesn't get hit by the knockup there from the Searing Charge. But, I mean, this Jace up a lot of CS. The Karma, though, scales a lot faster because her items are so cheap. Always keep that in mind. Enchanter items are like 2,500 gold to 2,100 gold in variance. So very low numbers in that respect there, but the Ornn taking a good chunk of damage there from the Soul Unbound.
Yeah, I mean, this Yone has accomplished a little bit, but at this point it's just not feeling like enough. Maybe in those mid-game team fights around the objectives you can find the big flashy ultimate plays that really make this champion frustrating to play against. As that was the Super Mega Death Rocket flying all the way up the lane from the Jinx, but not going to connect with much of anything. Maybe just a bit of a precautionary measure to try and dissuade a dive if it did connect. But things just going to sort of go back into reset land as they bring the bot lane up to top, do Clover, and they will get this push in.
They'll do the same thing as they always do, get more plates into Yuner. They did that game 1, they did that game 2, looking to do it again, but Hawkster looking for the arrow, though, can't find it. Lilting Lullaby available.
Yeah, Hawkster just absolutely eliminated before anything even starts. Now it's Ginger who's taken out on that Soul Unbound. They were looking for the big hype play with that Enchanted Crystal Arrow flying from a mile away, coming through from Loki Dosi, but it just doesn't connect. And without that setup, you don't have any kill threat. So it's just another easily won fight from the side of
Yuner.
Clover.
Oh my god, just more plates, a little bit of everything. And they... Oh! No, Lilting Lullaby just used.
that could be something, but look at that Berserk pulling away the captor. Lilia could have been at least one kill answered back, a shutdown as well, but that Berserk, it's not just about the auto-attacking that we always point out. It's like a charm, right? It pulls you in a direction you don't want to be going, forces you off the target you want to be on. It was so huge there from Limit Tester.
Yeah, and the Berserk just doing some mad work there, but I mean, if this base is sniffed out here, and it almost was, just good presence of mind from Uner to start walking away. Chapania fan looking for anything that they can grab, not able to look for it though. Echo just having a really, really great game though. Laspa just popping off so far in this series, having a good show of things. Jinx already finished 2 items at 14 minutes. What is this? 6-1 and 5. Every time Uner gets popping, it just keeps on going. Always look forward to seeing a Uner game so far, but I mean, Min, you know, having a rough go into things. Down 20 CS, down a kill, but, you know, almost on Exodia. Needs a little bit more to get there, so Frozen Heart's your next item, right? That's what you need to go here. And a Bramble Vest.
Yeah, Frozen Heart would definitely be huge value against double auto attack carries from the side of VGA.
Oh, Hawkster!
Yeah, that is just so unfortunate. The
Oh, no!
Oh, and because Loki actually get chased down here, the rocket finds it! Oh my goodness, Uner is just unstoppable right now. And it's the full aggression build, right? It's the Kraken Slayer. He says, I have cleanse. That's all I need. I don't need the defensive utility of the Gale Force here. I will just auto attack through you every single time.
Limit Tester.
Yeah, maybe finally, but it doesn't connect us. The sword
no!
into the Fate Sealed, and now it's Ginger's got his flank on, pulled back again. Maybe going to escape with their life off the shield bow proc, but it's so many resources used, and now look at that. Oh, but it's Hero who misses the ultimate. Look. Do they have the knockouts? Do they have the damage? Maybe they can find last, but yes, they do. But it's Captor who's taking down Fjorn, chasing on after the shutdown coming through for the Karma as well. But the play does continue. It's Ginger who can maybe find Limit Tester, but no, you have overextended. You've flown too close to the sun. As it's another double kill picked up for Uner. Now Min, though, not where you want to be. Getting chased down. The Ranger's focus will slow you up, will cut you through. But look at Limit Tester, flash handshake. Couldn't quite find the stun. However, the traps are such good placement as walking right into them was Loki, leaving Hawkster all on their lonesome once again. Oh, it looked so back and forth. It looked so good for a while. No! As even Min gets away. Oh, Uner with the snipe!
Another rocket? Oh my! Oh no! This is just a tragedy here. VGA are, you know, not having a solid one. They're just having a rough game here. Clover just in the driver's seat permanently. This Yone trying to do as much as they can. They're the sole source of damage here for VGA, and another turret to Uner. And Captor can't even find the bowling ball. Things are just looking so rough here for Clover, or sorry, for VGA. They can't make things happen. Their comp just can't do anything. They're too far behind. This Yone, yes, they need to get him some items, but I don't think it's enough here. This Jinx is so fed. This Echo's so fed. There's just no avenue to play through right now. They need to hope for picks.
I cannot wait to see this reset that's about to come through from the Jinx, by the way. Off the back of those kills. Took a whole turret worth of solo gold. That's just the IE bot.
Can we get an XP graph?
Swoop. Oh my goodness gracious. As if production is back, yeah, that XP graph would be great. Yep,
Thank
look
you.
at that.
Oh my, look at Uner.
He's on the same level as the solo laners do.
Oh, wait.
Maybe
might have found a catch.
But look at that, has the Shurelya's Reverie to give him the attack speed, or rather the movement speed out of that. So a lot of CC, a lot of cooldowns wasted just to not even really result in much, but this is Yone Brain being taken to its limit. The soul unbound snap, oh, Hawkster! Oh, it has been a rough series for Hawkster, man. Could have at least found one kill, but look at all those cooldowns they used to not even kill the support, man.
They couldn't kill Laspa, they couldn't kill Limit Tester. Just things are looking so rough here, and Min just doesn't care. He's had enough. He can just walk forward, doesn't really take all that much damage from the Ashe. The only threat is going to be that, oh my, that crit did so much to Hawkster.
Oh my god, he could just fall right there. No lives with the absolute sliver. No Super Mega Death Rocket available quite yet as we focus in on Hawkster running for his life there. And we will see if Clover could maybe even just start to push for an end very soon. Baron not even up available yet to augment their siege, but they're just up so big time right now.
Yeah, Baron spawning in 2 minutes, but it doesn't look like it. This game looks like it's 25 minutes in, but over the wall, can't find the play.
Yeah, Yuner going to pick up yet another one onto the opposing AD carry, and that's Trapani fan, who's just so desperate. There's nothing you can do on this card besides run, put down the shield, and absolutely hope that something goes completely wrong. But look at Yuner, no fear, pure aggression, running forward under this tier 3 with the zap. We'll find the handshake, we'll limit tester. That's Hawkster hit by the rocket, that's low health bars. The excitement could come soon, the resets could be coming out for Yuner as the Call of Forge God finds the last ditch hope for the side of VGA. Look at this, they're flanking them in their own base, Salt. Oh my goodness.
It's just a
gracious.
tragedy. Oh!
The arrow hits nobody, and this could just be the end angle with one inhib about to fall. They're still diving the tier 3.
No, they can't go for it.
No pentas. Yuner finally gets shut down. Lap's actually going to find double. Just a bit of an overextension, but Clover knows this is so far in the bag. They can afford to make those little throw plays. Even that triple kill going over to Captor shouldn't mean too much.
And normally I'd say taking a Baron or taking an inhib really early is not all that good for 20 minutes, but they don't have wave clear. They don't really have a way to answer the waves. The reason why taking an inhib is so terrible is it funnels in so much gold, and it... What happened?
I think we got an FF.
Did we get an FF? We got an FF.
I mean, understandably so. That's only this... That's so interesting. I haven't seen any FFs in my competitive league career yet until we got to playoffs, and now this is the second one I've seen in 2 weeks. I mean, I can't blame VGA. What else was there for them to do in that game, in this series? It was just, you know, saving the mental.
I mean, if they
like
want to play again next split, they gotta save their mental here. This one looked kind of rough. The series looked kind of
saving
rough.
the mental for next split. That's one I haven't heard of before. That's pretty good. Double Lift can save his flash. VGA can save their mental. Yeah, I mean, big shout out to Clover. They look as dominant as they always have. They're going to be moving on to finals in pretty easy fashion and continuing to be looked at as the absolute favorites here in VTS. They are a really crazy team.
Yeah, and I want to find out what happened in the series that's happening later. I don't know if it's today or if it's happening next week, but I mean, Clover just taking it home again. Another clean series. They just look unstoppable coming in so far. There's just not much to say. Again, it's a synergy. When one falters, the rest will step up, and that's just what Clover's looked like. But in Game 3, not a single member faltered. Everyone stood tall, and they just stomped it very quickly.
Absolutely. So as we do have the MVP vote out into the chat right now, so make sure to vote on your Clover MVP of the series, where I think we're going to take it to a short break. When we return, we will go over the MVP selection and a post-series breakdown. So stay right where you are, vote on that poll. We'll be back in a moment.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is over. The first FF we've had in the VTS this entire split. And I mean, I don't want to say it was justified, but you know, it's understandable. VJ, they're taking the mental, they're putting it into cold storage because that was a bit of a beating that they got this time around. Game one was looking very promising, but then it feels like they just kind of lost that momentum. Clover picked up on what they need to get done, and they got it done flawlessly. And it's like Salt said right at the post game, they have the tendency that when one person falls behind, the others will pick up the slack. But what do you do when no one falls behind and everyone is just performing out of their minds? We get a game like this. Salt, how did Junior even get to that point? Please tell me. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that.
I mean, again, Junior finding some big plays, and I mean, it denied so much from the bot lane, and that's the lane they have to win, right? They have Braum, they have Ashe. Ashe is a really solid laner. Braum also synergizes very well with her kit. The slows allow him to land those, auto attacks slash, Qs. But I mean, they just weren't able to find it, and the Renata actually proving to be a stronger laner than most would think. Renata's supposed to be unbelievably useless in lane, right? There's a lot of, like, I always use this term, unbelievably useless. The champion doesn't really do anything unless, you just walk past the minion wave and let her land those, the handshakes and make that happen there. And she was shaking some hands big time this game. And, I mean, also, the ultimates look so good from Limit Tester this game, too. But Young always performed, always did their job, right? Junior was all, like, I think Young looked good in every single game. The Jace looked good. The Ahri 2 games looked good. And Zeri 2 games for Junior also looked good. Same with the Jinx. But, I mean, game number 1, it was the Young and Laspa show. Game number 2 was the, was the Young show and the Junior show. And then game number 3 was just Junior and a little bit of Laspa, But for the most part, just good stuff coming in from all of Clover. They looked like a great team. They always look good, but it's their synergy that pushes them above the rest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, let's just not waste any more time. You all in the chat voted. You spent your, well, maybe not everyone in the chat. We had someone here as well who is investing a whole lot of points. Not going to name any names. But anyways, let's take a look at our MVP for this series. It is the one and only Young coming in. Their mid laner going 17, 4, and 20. Infinite, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, and I'm sorry I did almost step on you before there, Echo. I'm used to doing the hosting duties, so we got the MVP notification there. I was like, oh, my time to shine. But yeah, no, it's definitely a well-deserved MVP from Young. Absolutely dominated in that Ahri matchup twice in a row. That Ori counterpick not really looking like much of anything, and picking up a pentakill in game 2, playing where they need to be. Not as flashy in game 3, but on Jace, looking very serviceable, doing their job, and just really contributing to this feeling around Clover, right, which is that all 5 of these players will contribute to every win, and there's not really a weak link to attack.
And that's just how it looks for the most part, right? Clover, again, synergy. They look good as a unit. They play as a team. Doesn't matter how everyone else performs. They just have to perform for each other, and that's just what they did, right? Sometimes it's Junior being the carry. Sometimes it's Young. Sometimes it's Laspa. Sometimes it's Min. Every single member knows what they're doing and knows how to work as a team, and I think VGA didn't really look like a team here. I mean, maybe they didn't scrim or something. They just didn't look like they were together. The togetherness was there for Clover where it was not for VGA, right? After game 1, they sort of just fell apart and they were just playing for themselves.
Yeah, one thing I just want to hop on to get this point out is that in game 3, It felt like, again, a misidentification of what they had drafted to do. You had talked about how annoying Braum and Ash are as a combo and how we expected more out of this bot lane. But if you look at it, Hawkster spent most of his time roaming, trying to get top ahead, stopping in mid around the Herald fight. He was level 4 like 9 minutes, if you recall, in that one critical fight around the bot lane. So it wasn't just
Yeah.
a very good job by Clover to capitalize on, good bot lane gank timings, through Laspa getting Yunar ahead. It was also them punishing the fact that, for the most part, Hawkster wasn't there, and it was an AD carry all on their own, just waiting to get punished.
I mean, yeah, you're playing Ashe, sure, she's self-sufficient, but if you're letting an Ashe stay alone against a Jinx Renata, I mean, I think the Jinx benefits way more, right? You need to be punishing this Jinx. You need to be looking to shut her down, because that's your scaling member, or that's their scaling member, right? Their Jinx scales really, really well, and they needed to play against that, but the Ashe dominates in the early game, dominates in the mid, but starts falling off as that later game does come through, right? But they just didn't focus this Jinx down. They let her get her ball rolling, and she started popping off.
Yeah, that's one way to put it, to say that absolutely. Some of the zaps, some of the mega death rockets were huge, to say the least. It's a shame that everyone is just harping on Young here. Yeah, sure, you got a pentakill, but my boy Laspa, dude, whipping out the echo there for that
That's
third
true.
game, goated. Absolute unit, and was that doing absolute work with it as well, right? Just when it came to these amazing ganks he was pulling out, getting his team ahead, and also the amount of poke he was able to supply. I remember I took my headset off for a second. I just hear Dog going, he's just melting through them with the echo, and I'm like, yep, yes, yep, he's doing his job, he's doing the thing. He's doing the thing, and they absolutely melted through the competition tonight, because with that, they stay undefeated, and they are going to be moving on to the final. Salt, can anyone take these guys down, man? What do you think?
I mean, if anything, I'd say it would be the unorthodox playstyle of MGM, but they still faltered in the regular split. And Glacial, those can make things happen if they... I don't know who's winning the series right now, but I think the best two teams that could take Clover down are down there in the other side of the bracket.
All right, Dodge, you think anyone's taking these Giants out, or where are we already seeing the Kings tonight?
From what I've seen of VTS, which granted is limited, these guys look like the real deal. I do think you would have to, as Salt touched on, bring something a bit more unorthodox. I don't think you're going to match them in the meta 5v5. You're going to have to find something a little bit more creative. And as of right now, and we'll see if I, if I am proven correct in the long term on this, I would put my money on Clover to take the whole thing home.
All right. Real a respectable pick, to say the least. And unfortunately, we are going to have to wait a week to see if this comes to fruition. But we will be back with you guys next week, same time on a Friday night for the finals of VTS. Thank you so much for tuning in. Dodge, thanks so much for coming by tonight. Salt,
Thanks for having me.
per usual, man, it's been a pleasure, brother. And MXL in the back, sprinkling the magic on the stream. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your night.